Chapter 133. Tanda sighed. This was the sorrow of the week. The black masked man stared at Wan Dao. After a few breaths, Wan Dao broke out in cold sweat. The black masked man said, "Have you seen these people?" He took out a piece of animal skin. There were 3 figures on it, but it was not clear. However, the clothes were very lifelike. It was Lei Xingfeng and the other 2. Wan Dao recognized them at a glance. If it was only one person, then he might not dare to be sure. But with 3 people together, he almost didn't hesitate to confirm that they were the 3 experts he had received. Cold sweat immediately appeared on his forehead. His heart was tangled to death. What a joke! Among the 3 people, there were 2 Taoist masters. He couldn't and didn't dare to say that, but the person in front of him was also a Taoist master. Wasn't this asking for his life? The black masked man stared at Wan Dao. He immediately noticed the cold sweat on Wan Dao's forehead and said, "You have seen them. You should have seen them. Where are they?" Wan Dao stammered, not knowing what to say. Before he could think clearly, the black masked man was already impatient. His body suddenly swayed, and with 2 slaps, Wan Dao was knocked dizzy. The black masked man wanted to understand the situation, so he didn't kill him. However, these 2 slaps were not light. Wan Dao's teeth were all loosened, and he covered his face in a daze. The black masked man said coldly, "Do you remember?" Wan Dao's aura was extremely strong, but he really did not dare to resist. The opponent was too strong. He had no hope of winning. Even if he wanted to escape, he could not. A line of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He calmed down with difficulty and said, "Ew." The black masked man's eyes flashed with cold light. He said lightly, "Will you remember after I slaughter the entire town?" Suddenly, the surrounding people felt a chill. Their hair stood on end. This was too ruthless. He actually wanted to slaughter the entire town. Wan Dao opened his mouth. He finally could not resist and said, "Yes, I have seen them." The black masked man nodded. "Where?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Tanda, take Wu Zhen with you and don't come out." After giving the order, he walked out of the door and said with a smile, so domineering, "Are you looking for me?" With a slight movement, he appeared beside Wan Dao and patted him on the shoulder. Wan Dao was so frightened that he trembled and said, "I'm sorry to have implicated you." Wan Dao was scared out of his wits. He couldn't afford to offend either side, so he stuttered and said something that no one could understand. The poor local tyrant of a small town was being suppressed by the experts of both sides. Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "All right, I'll help you vent your anger." Before he could finish speaking, a figure flickered. Crack! It was the same 2 yin-yang slaps. However, this time, the black masked man was the one being hit. Moreover, Lei Xingfeng's attack was much more powerful. The black masked man couldn't dodge at all. A lightning attribute expert speed was absolutely incomparable to any other attribute. The 2 slaps directly knocked out a mouthful of teeth from the black masked man. He spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with bits of white light. That mouthful of teeth were all broken, and the black masked man's mask also shattered like glass. It was a middle-aged man. His 2 thick eyebrows and a pair of triangular eyes left a deep impression. His mouth was completely deflated because all of his teeth were broken. His face was full of shock and disbelief. He was almost scared to death. He knew that if the other party wanted to kill him, he would be a corpse. Just like how he had slapped Wan Dao before, it was too easy to kill Wan Dao. Lei Xingfeng said, "You're still haunting me. I've already left, but you're still chasing after me. If you want to die, you don't have to be in such a hurry." The middle-aged man touched his face and immediately showed a look of despair. His mask was shattered. It was as if he was about to die. He immediately went crazy and shouted, "I'll fight you to the death." Boom! The 2 of them clashed. Instantly, the energy spread everywhere. The people around them were immediately overturned. A circle of people fell to the ground. The middle-aged man stared and retreated step by step. With every step, his joints cracked. This attack messed up the lunli in his body. Golden light flashed in front of his eyes, and his ears roared. It was as if countless gongs and drums were ringing. After retreating for about 10 steps, he finally couldn't take it anymore and sat on the ground. Lei Xingfeng didn't move. His strength was much higher than his opponent's. This attack couldn't even shake his body. The middle-aged man kept vomiting blood. Lei Xingfeng didn't rush to attack. He just waited quietly. Wan Dao and the rest were stunned. They didn't expect Lei Xingfeng to be so strong. Wan Dao laughed bitterly in his heart. At this time, he had already made up his mind. Once he survived this disaster, he would bring his people and find a remote place. There was no way to stay here. Send the signal. The middle-aged man finally gave the order. After that, he vomited another mouthful of blood. Lei Xingfeng slowly walked forward and said, "What organization are you from?" The middle-aged man's eyes shot out a venomous light. He said, "You're dead, you mess with us. You're dead." Lei Xingfeng's heart was filled with anger. He didn't want to make enemies, but the other party didn't want to let him go. They didn't even hesitate to massacre the entire town. This was something he couldn't tolerate. Usually, his mentality was better. This was the peace of mind brought from his previous life. But this life was different. He started to cultivate. The thunder element was irritable. This gradually affected his personality. So whenever he encountered something like this, his anger would be bigger. A few people wearing white masks panicked and sent out signals for help. A few others wearing white masks rushed forward. Before they could get close to Lei Xingfeng, they saw bolts of lightning emerging from Lei Xingfeng's body. In an instant, the bolts of lightning pierced through the people who rushed over. They turned into ashes and fell to the ground. They were killed instantly. Lei Xingfeng walked to the middle-aged man and kicked him. The middle-aged man hit the ground with both hands, and his body flashed 3 meters away. However, Lei Xingfeng's kick didn't miss. A bolt of lightning flashed from the tip of his foot and landed on the middle-aged man's body. Crackle! The middle-aged man's defense was broken in an instant. The lightning struck his body. After all, he was a second-ring sage. This attack only seriously injured him, but didn't kill him. In front of Lei Xingfeng, he felt like a baby. Not only were his hands tied, but he also couldn't fight back. He was so angry that he wanted to go crazy. As he roared, a golden ring appeared in his hand. He threw it out and rubbed his hands together. In an instant, the golden ring expanded. He roared, "Seal!" The golden ring suddenly expanded. With a flash of golden light, it flew into the sky. Lei Xingfeng looked on curiously. He saw the golden ring appear in the sky and fall towards him. The middle-aged man spat out a mouthful of blood. The golden ring shone even brighter. With a shout and blood spurting out, the golden ring suddenly fell towards Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng cursed, "What the hell is this?" In a flash, he had already charged into the crowd, grabbing randomly with his hands. A few white-masked men were caught and thrown out by him. Only after catching a few did Exine stop. He had already dodged to the side and watched as the golden hoop fell, covering those white-masked men. With Lei Xingfeng's speed, which was as fast as lightning, the middle-aged man couldn't react at all. He didn't have time to react and could only watch as his subordinates fell into the golden ring. Silently, the people wearing white masks were instantly strangled by the golden ring. The middle-aged man didn't have time to stop and could only watch as his subordinates were killed. He roared with hatred and pointed his finger at the golden ring. He spat out another mouthful of blood, and the golden ring rose again. Lei Xingfeng said in surprise, "That's really powerful." His body flashed, and a few more people wearing white masks were thrown out. The golden ring fell 3 times in a row, killing the people thrown out by Lei Xingfeng. The middle-aged man seemed to be unable to control the killing of the golden ring. As long as the golden ring fell, there would be a rain of blood. The killing speed was so fast that it made Lei Xingfeng's scalp tingle. In just a few breaths, Lei Xingfeng found that there was no one around to catch. The middle-aged man laughed sinisterly. "Let's see what you can use to replace me." "Ha! Go to hell." Lei Xingfeng sneered. "Do you really think that I'm afraid of you?" In an instant, a bolt of lightning flashed, and Lei Xingfeng shouted, "Die for me." That bolt of lightning was his Lei Yin. At the same time, when the thunder seal appeared, the incomparably vast thunder and lightning was like a violent electric net flashing. Rumbling sounds resounded, followed by earth-shaking thunderclaps. The sound of thunder continued to resound, shaking everyone in the small town to the point of dizziness. The middle-aged man said in horror, "Laying, oh my God." The lightning stamp instantly collided with the golden ring. Countless lightning bolts seemed to have found a slanted opening. In an instant, the lightning bolts converged on the golden ring. With a rumbling sound, the golden ring suddenly turned into countless golden light spots and dissipated in the air. Following that, the lightning bolts struck the middle-aged man's body. A dazzling brilliance flashed, and the middle-aged man let out a short scream before disappearing from the spot. In an instant, the middle-aged man was turned into ashes. Even though he was a sage with 2 true ring bodies, he still couldn't block Lei Yin's attack. Lei Xingfeng opened his mouth and sucked. Lei Yin turned into a light spot and entered his mouth. His face was a bit pale. He didn't expect Lei Yin to be so powerful. This attack not only destroyed the golden ring, but also the middle-aged man. At the same time, everything within a 100-meter radius, including the streets and houses, was turned into dust. Even the ground sank 7 or 8 meters, creating a huge crater with a diameter of nearly 100 meters. "Stop!" An angry shout came from afar. Then, a group of people rushed over. Lei Xingfeng stared at the group of people rushing over. He was very unhappy and said, "Damn, another group came." Tanda and the others had already retreated far away. Lei Yin's attack just now had almost scared them to death. They had never seen such a crazy attack. Wan Dao stood beside him, his mouth wide open. He muttered unconsciously, This is the power of a sage with 4 true ring? Too frightening." Wu Zhen's face was deathly pale. He now understood that once a sage took out his trump card, it would be a fight to the death. Moreover, the power of the attack was beyond his imagination. In fact, he didn't know that this wasn't Lei Yin's true power. Lei Xingfeng's Lei Yin wasn't condensed by himself, but obtained from Elder Thunderstorm. Of course, if it was his own Lei Yin, the attack power would be even more incredible. Chapter 134. This time, the person in the lead was wearing a blue mask. Behind him was a group of people who were all wearing white masks. Before they even arrived at the scene, a huge pressure had already crushed over. Lei Xingfeng's eyes flashed with surprise. He could feel the pressure coming from the other side. This person should be the same as him, a great true Luan Yin master. "Tanda, take Wu Zhen and leave." Tanda didn't even ask why, and just took Wu Zhen and ran outside. He wasn't stupid. He could feel the pressure coming from the other side. He immediately understood that a true expert had arrived. At the very least, he wasn't any weaker than Lei Xingfeng. Once this kind of battle started, it would spread far and wide. He didn't want to die for no reason. Wu Zhen kindly reminded him, "Wan Dao, take your people and run." Wan Dao immediately reacted and scolded himself for being slow. A battle between high-level cultivators could easily destroy the entire town. He turned around and ran while shouting, "Qiaoyan, inform everyone in the town to run and leave this place." Lei Xingfeng had already rushed forward. He didn't want to fight in a big hole. He walked along the street for 100 meters before stopping. The group of people was also in front of him. He now understood that the black masked person was a 2nd ring true Luan Yin master. The red one was a 3rd ring true Luan Yin master, and the blue masked person was a 4th ring true Luan Yin master. Their level was the same as his, it just depended on their cultivation attribute. Those who could reach 4th ring true Luan Yin master were all peerless geniuses. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to reach this level. This was the first time Lei Xingfeng fought with someone of similar strength to him. He was a bit excited. The blue-masked person stood not far from Lei Xingfeng. He sized up Lei Xingfeng and said, "You killed him?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Nonsense." The person moved slightly but didn't attack. He was just angered by Lei Xingfeng's words. He gritted his teeth and said, very good, you're dead." Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. "I've already heard that many times." "Dead? Haha, it's always the same thing. Did you guys plan on greeting each other before you left?" The person was flustered and exasperated. "You, which fucking sector you from?" Lei Xingfeng said, "You don't even have the right to hide your face." The person stared at him for a while, then slowly took off the blue mask on his face. With a flip of his wrist, the mask disappeared. He said, "Our rule is that once you see my face, we won't rest until we're dead." This person left an impression on Lei Xingfeng. He had a big hooked nose, deep eye sockets, and looked like a white person from his previous world. He had thin lips, revealing a trace of harshness. He had a pair of eagle eyes, and his pupils emitted a faint red color, giving off a bloody smell. Lei Xingfeng said, "Even if you don't take off your mask, we won't rest until we're dead. I'm curious, where did you guys come from? You're so smelly." His words were getting worse and worse. He was also feeling depressed. He was just looking for a person, yet he met with such a bastard situation. Being chased for no reason, no matter who it was, it wouldn't feel good. Furthermore, the other party was from a mysterious organization. Boom! That person's body emitted a strong flame. His entire body was engulfed in flames. He said, "Brat, don't think that just because you're a great true Lunin master, you're amazing. With just you alone, no matter what, you won't be able to stop us." Lei Xingfeng thought, fire attribute, good, not light or lightning attribute, hee. He coldly said, "Oh, a great true Lunin master isn't that amazing, but it's enough to deal with you guys." That person said, "In our organization, a great true Lunin master is just a normal existence. Hee, if I fail again, there will be even stronger experts coming." Lei Xingfeng said, "Is that so? Even stronger experts? Fifth ring? Sixth ring expert? You scared me to death." Huh. He had already made up his mind. After this battle, he would immediately return. No matter what, he would bring 2 guards with him and ask his seniors for help. He didn't believe that even if he couldn't win, his seniors wouldn't be able to win. Even if they couldn't, he still had his master. He wouldn't be afraid of these people. That person coldly laughed. "We have a way to track you. No matter where you hide, we can dig you out. I believe that as long as we catch you, you'll regret being born into this world." Lei Xingfeng said, "All right, so strong. Since I'm dead for sure, then tell me, what organization are you guys from? You've already taken off your mask. We won't rest until one of us is dead. You should at least let me know who wants my life, right?" That person immediately laughed. "Are you afraid? Then surrender. If you surrender, I'll tell you what organization we are from." Lei Xingfeng sighed. "I hate mysterious organizations the most. Surrender? Surrender your mother's head. I'll do it." He knew that he wouldn't be able to get any information from the opponent and suddenly attacked. A huge thunderbolt struck out. That person shouted, "Attack!" A huge fireball flew out and directly hit the thunderbolt. Boom! Electric arcs flashed, and sparks flew everywhere. Lei Xingfeng was now alone, and his body was protected by the thunderbolt, so he didn't care at all. However, the people around that person were miserable. Fine electric arcs splashed, and together with the shattered fireball, in an instant, there were screams. 7 or 8 people fell down. All of them were Wan Lunsher and mill wheel drivers. Even if they didn't die, they were half dead. That person shouted, "You guys, retreat." As he spoke, he rushed forward. Lei Xingfeng also rushed forward. The distance between the two was not far, only about 10 meters. In an instant, the two of them collided. Suddenly, electric arcs flashed, thunder and lightning raged, sparks flew everywhere, flames surged, and continuous explosions sounded. In an instant, the two of them clashed more than 10 times. The flying sparks set the surrounding houses on fire. That person's subordinates fled for their lives. Even so, those who were injured before couldn't escape in time. They were affected by the fire and lightning and instantly turned into ashes. Lei Xingfeng was fighting a fierce battle. For the first time, he felt the joy of fighting. He didn't have this kind of experience before. His opponent's strength was about the same as his, so he immediately experienced the excitement of fighting. The more the person fought, the more surprised he became. This was the first time he met a thunder attribute expert. He didn't expect that he would be so restrained. Whether it was the opponent's attack speed or dodging speed, it was unimaginable. It was too fast, and he was not used to it. Lei Xingfeng also discovered his own characteristics. For every attack the opponent made, he could at least return 1.5 attacks. His dodging speed was so fast that the opponent couldn't hit him. This feeling was indeed very satisfying. In the beginning, the two of them relied on their attributes to fight. As the battle progressed, the two of them became angrier and angrier. Their attacks also became more and more dangerous. The two of them began to fight hand-to-hand. Lei Xingfeng's fist was surrounded by thunder and lightning, while his opponent's fist was covered in flames. The effect of a direct attack was better and more effective. Therefore, the two of them coincidentally chose to fight in close range. Fist against fist, foot against foot, the confrontation between their bodies became more intense. Boom! That person's fist landed on Lei Xingfeng's arm. A ball of fire burned fiercely. Lei Xingfeng's arm shook, and a layer of electric arcs flashed from his shoulder to his wrist. The flames suddenly disappeared. Then, Lei Xingfeng's fist landed on that person's shoulder. A dazzling white light flashed, and a layer of flame appeared on that person's shoulder, blocking the electric attack. The two of them attacked each other crazily. In less than 2 minutes, a large portion of the surrounding houses collapsed. The flames that were ignited were at least 7 to 8 meters high. Within the flames, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The two of them were furious and attacked each other crazily, without caring about anything else. Tanda and Wu Zhen had already run out of the town. The two of them saw the fire and thick smoke rising from the town. Wan Dao had also led his subordinates to escape, as well as the residents of the town. Those who could escape had all fled outside the town. Wan Dao clutched his chest and said, My town is finished." Tanda comforted him. "Let's find another place." Wan Dao smiled bitterly and said, "I don't know where else is suitable." Sigh. He couldn't complain. This was the way the world was. Complaining was useless. If he was a fifth ring sage, he could definitely drive these two guys out. Unfortunately, he was just a small millwool master. He was not qualified to drive out masters like Lei Xingfeng and the Masker. He could only watch as the town was destroyed. Tanda said, "Why don't you come with us?" "Ha!" Wan Dao was surprised. "Follow you? To where?" Tanda said, "To the edge of the Wanxi continent in the lake." Wan Dao couldn't help but smile bitterly. He knew that the edge of the Wanxi continent was surrounded by large lakes. The living conditions there were much worse than here. He shook his head and said, "Forget it, I'll find another place." Maybe after this battle, we can rebuild the town." Tanda couldn't help but shake his head. If Lei Xingfeng won, things would be fine for the time being. But if Lei Xingfeng left and the Masker came again, he would definitely vent his anger on Wan Dao and the others. Even if the town wasn't destroyed, Wan Dao and the others wouldn't be able to escape. However, Tanda didn't try to persuade him. This was Wan Dao's choice. He couldn't decide his fate. Wu Zhen said, "I don't know if we can win this time." Tanda couldn't figure it out. After all, he was only a first-ring sage. A battle between fourth-ring sages wasn't something he could understand or speculate. Boom! Another house was set on fire. Wan Dao's expression became uglier and uglier. A large number of ordinary people escaped from the town. They were crying and running around. Wan Dao said, "Qiaoyan, gather people and gather them. There will be more casualties if they run around like this." Qiaoyan nodded and brought a group of people to gather the town's residents. Lei Xingfeng became more and more excited as he fought. Before they knew it, the two had already fought for more than 10 minutes and destroyed half of the town. As the battle continued, the person felt helpless. It was obvious that Lei Xingfeng was getting stronger. He used all his methods and barely managed to stay undefeated. However, not many of his subordinates survived. Most of them died after being caught in the shockwaves. Only a few escaped. The worst thing was that Lei Xingfeng became more and more energetic as he fought. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. This guy was too sick. Chapter 135. Lei Xingfeng finally couldn't take it anymore and sent out Lei Yin again. In the sound of thunder, that person ran away. He didn't expect Lei Xingfeng to hide such a perverted thing. Once he started to run, that person understood that he was completely defeated. It would be very difficult to take back the initiative. At this point, he didn't want to continue fighting. Lei Xingfeng didn't expect that person to run away. He hesitated for a moment and that person disappeared. He was so angry that he cursed. He didn't have enough fun, and his opponent actually ran away. That person brought his remaining subordinates and ran to the Lewin spot. He looked back and said, "I will find you again. Let's go." He opened the Lewin spot and left with his subordinates. Lei Xingfeng came out of the town and found Tanda. He said, "Let's go back." He didn't dare to run around anymore. He knew that he was already the target of the maskers. It wouldn't be wise to run around anymore. Tanda said, "Okay, let's go back." Wan Dao said, "Senior, those people, will they come back?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Definitely. It's better for you guys to leave. It's dangerous to stay here." Wan Dao sighed and said, "Yes, Senior." Lei Xingfeng thought for a moment. He took out a few Luan rings and said, "This is to compensate you. Sorry, I didn't expect that the enemy would find this place." Wan Dao took the Luan rings and looked at them. He couldn't help but be shocked. "Luan rings?" Tanda said, "Yes, Luan rings. Your luck is not bad. This thing is very useful to you." Wan Dao immediately felt better. He said, "Thank you, Senior. Goodbye." He obviously knew the use of Luan rings. When he became a Millwheel master and wanted to level up, Luan rings were a good thing. It was very helpful to level up to Sage. Lei Xingfeng brought Tanda and Wu Zhan back to the Luan spot. He opened the Luan spot and went back through the ancient Lin passage. 8 days later, Lei Xingfeng brought Mad Eagle and Tiger Love out of the Luan spot. This time, Lei Xingfeng didn't bring Tanda and Wu Zhan. He brought 2 guards back to the town. The 2 guards both had 8 true ring bodies. Lei Xingfeng didn't believe that the maskers could have many high-level true sages. This time, not only did he bring 2 guards, but he also contacted his 3rd senior brother Exine Jiaowen and asked him to come to the center of Wanxi continent. 3rd senior brother Exine Jiaowen was a 9th ring sage, almost a monarch. Once he comes, Exine Feng can do whatever he wants. Mad Eagle said, "This is the town?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Yes, this is the town. Everyone's gone." The entire town was dead. Not a single person could be seen walking around. After checking, he found that everyone had left. Of course, Million Blade and the other cultivators had also left. Tiger Love said, "It's normal. You've already destroyed half of the town. No one dares to stay here for now. It should recover after a while." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Yes." Mad Eagle said, "This maskers organization. This is the first time I've heard of it. Where do they come from?" Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly. "I don't know either. They've been targeting me for no reason." Mad Eagle said, "It's okay. If they appear again, I'll find a way to find their base. I'll kill them all." Lei Xingfeng felt a chill in his heart. This was the ruthlessness of a master. He didn't even bother to deal with them. Once he found their base, he would destroy it. Tiger Love laughed. "They're unlucky to have messed with you." Lei Xingfeng said, "I didn't want to mess with them. I just wanted to find someone who knew that I would meet this group of lunatics. They didn't even bother to explain. They just killed as soon as they saw me." He just wanted to find his little sister and Ai. He didn't expect to encounter such a terrible situation. Mad Eagle said, "There's another Luan spot nearby?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Yes, there's another one. This is a trade route. We have to pass through between 2 Luan spots. That's why there's this town." Mad Eagle said, "Let's go." He carried Lei Xingfeng on his back and flew with Tiger Love to another Luan spot. In just a few moments, they arrived at another Luan spot. Lei Xingfeng said, "That guy probably retreated from here. But after a Luan spot is activated, it can lead to many places. We can't find their base. Damn, I don't know if they can follow us." At this time, he actually hoped that the opponent would find them. Then he wouldn't have to waste time looking for them. Mad Eagle said, "Don't worry. You killed a few of their true masters. They probably hate you to the bone and will definitely follow you here." Tiger Love started the Luan spot and said, "Where to?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Find a place with more people." Tiger Love nodded. "Okay, let's go." Ripple Origin City. Through the Luan spot, the most populated area was the famous Ripple Origin City. It was a city on a large island in the middle of the lake. Moreover, the surrounding islands were also filled with people. Every island near Ripple Origin Lake had 1 or 2 towns. There were also many small islands that were purely fishing villages. Lei Xingfeng and the other two walked out of the Luin spot and immediately discovered that this place was different. Lei Xingfeng discovered for the first time that after coming out of the Luin spot, this place was actually a small city on an island. This island had a radius of about 20 kilometers. In Ripple Origin Lake, it was considered a medium-sized island. Around the island were boats of all sizes. Without a boat, it was almost impossible to move. Of course, if one had Mad Eagle and Tiger Love's methods, they wouldn't need a boat. Flying had always been the privilege of a high-level true master. Even if Lei Xingfeng had 4 true ring bodies and was a great true Lunin master, he still couldn't fly. The surroundings were filled with vendors, setting up all sorts of stalls. Among them, food stalls took up more than half. Lei Xingfeng and the other two had just left the Luin spot when they heard a loud voice. "Please don't stay. Quickly leave the Luin spot. There are people coming from behind." A few cultivators were taking turns to give directions, as if this was an important traffic route. Lei Xingfeng and the other two quickly left the Luin spot. Then, a few more people appeared. They seemed to come here often and didn't need to be reminded. A cultivator quickly walked over and said, "The 3 of you, please register." Lei Xingfeng was shocked. "Register?" The cultivator nodded. "Yes, you are foreign cultivators and must register." "All right, we are cultivators from Ripple Origin City." Lei Xingfeng said, "If we don't register, what will happen to you?" The cultivator laughed. "If you don't register, then please return. Even if you're a true master, you still have to register. And if you go to any large sex territory, this procedure is necessary. We don't have any bad intentions." Mad Eagle nodded. Lei Xingfeng knew that the cultivator wasn't talking nonsense. "Okay, I'll register then. My surname is Doe. My name is Naiwan." Tiger Love and Mad Eagle were shocked. His name was changed? Not Lei Xingfeng, but teasing you? Damn, this brat is messing around again. The two couldn't help but smile. The cultivator nodded. "In, surname Doe. Okay, I'll record it. AI, how come you don't know anything? You only speak half of it." Lei Xingfeng thought, "Speak half of it? What did I leave?" Suddenly, he realized and laughed. "Oh, I didn't have time to say it. I'm a mill wheel master." The other party was just a mill wheel master, so he couldn't see Lei Xingfeng's level. The cultivator couldn't help but be shocked. "Little brother, you're amazing. You're a mill wheel master. How old are you?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I'm in my 40s. Hee, I just look young." Mad Eagle and Tiger Love stared at Lei Xingfeng in shock. This guy wasn't speaking the truth at all. The cultivator suddenly said, "No wonder. AI, brother, I'm also in my 40s, but I look like I'm in my 60s. You can't compare yourself to others." "All right, these two, are they also cultivators?" Lei Xingfeng said, "No, they're just normal people. They're my workers." The cultivator laughed. "You're amazing. You're willing to spend so much money to bring 2 normal people. You're rich." He finished recording and said, "All right, keep this small token. Millwell Master has a lot of privileges in our Ripple Origin City. Remember, don't kill normal people. I know you guys from small places don't put normal people in your eyes, but it's different here. A normal person might have a true master-level expert in his family. If you kill someone randomly, don't blame me for not reminding you." Lei Xingfeng casually hung a white token on his waist. The 3 left Lun Diane's location and quickly blended into the crowd. Tiger Love laughed. "The person who recorded this is an idiot. I don't know why Ripple Origin City uses such people." Lei Xingfeng didn't understand. "Why do you say that?" Tiger Love said, "How can normal people dress like us? You must be joking." Exine Feng lightly slapped his forehead and said, "That's right. Hee, who cares as long as he doesn't bother me." Mad Eagle said, "He should have sent out a signal and has his eyes on us." Tiger Love thought for a bit and laughed. "Hee, that's true. I'm just messing with you. You'll understand once you react to the name. They'll probably have their eyes on us. But they'll just have their eyes on us, nothing much." Lei Xingfeng realized that there were a lot of cultivators here. At least half of the crowd were cultivators. There was at least 1 cultivator among the 3 of them. Moreover, the cultivators were walking around in groups. Many of them had the same clothes. Clearly, They were from the same organization. Lei Xingfeng said, "It's rare to see so many cultivators here. But why isn't there a true master-level expert?" Mad Eagle said, "It's normal. True masters don't need to come out and find what they need. In a large sect, a true master-level expert is at least a middle-level expert. They have a lot of subordinates." Tiger Love also said, after reaching true master level, they spend most of their time cultivating or making their own weapons. They don't have time to walk around. Chapter 136. Lei Xingfeng said, "Right, I don't have a good weapon yet. I need to find some time to refine one." Tiger Love smiled. "There's no need. The most powerful weapon for a true human is your own seal. If you really need a weapon, you'll have to wait until you become a monarch. That'll be a necessity. There are no strong experts here." The information he revealed surprised Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng asked, "What do you mean? What do you mean there are no strong experts here?" Mad Eagle explained, "The continents here are very peaceful. The strongest is only a ninth ring sage. Monarchs almost never appear here. For ninth ring sages, the resources here are too poor. They need to go to other places. That's where the real danger lies. Well, you'll know when you reach ninth ring. You don't have to worry about it now." Tiger Love also said, "This is a place to grow, not a place to fight. Well, even if it's a battle, it's a place for you to gain experience. This is also why we're following you. When you grow, you'll know that becoming a true human is just the beginning." Lei Xingfeng said, "Okay, I understand." For some reason, he suddenly felt his blood boiling. Tiger Love said, "We're strong now. When you reach ninth ring, you'll know that we've used up all our potential. It'll be difficult for us to improve. This, he and I know very well. Once you reach monarch, maybe you'll have a way to help us reach ninth ring. Beyond that, we don't know." Mad Eagle said, "If you can reach sixth ring as soon as possible, you'll barely make it. Well, it's not bad to move around the periphery, right? Many people in the sect go there." Lei Xingfeng said, "You've been there before?" "Yes," Feng said. "Sure, and I went there when we were in the seventh ring. After we reached the eighth ring, we were called back and became your guards." Lei Xingfeng asked, "What is this place? Why is it so mysterious?" Tiger Love said, "There's no point in knowing now. It'll only make him feel uneasy. It's better to wait until you advance to sixth ring. I estimate that you'll only advance to sixth ring in about 10 years. It'll be very fast. I'm so envious." Lei Xingfeng thought, "More than 10 years? That's impossible. As long as I find a suitable place to cultivate, I'll be able to advance to six-ringed or even seven-ringed in a few years. I have a secret technique that I invented. How can I advance so slowly?" He had the experience of cultivating in a natural lightning field. As long as he could find a suitable place, it wouldn't be a problem for him to advance. No matter what, he had to find Yi and his little sister first. Only then would Lei Xingfeng be at ease and proceed with his advancement. Right now, he still couldn't let go. Following the street, they soon arrived at the island. The entire island was surrounded by a pier built with stones. Boats of all sizes were densely docked there. Among them, there were large sailboats, single-oared boats, and a large number of ferries. Mad Eagle quickly hired a small boat. The three of them boarded. This place wasn't far from Ripple Origin City. It was about half a day's journey by water. After arriving here, neither Mad Eagle nor Tiger Love planned to fly in the sky. That would be too eye-catching. Once they flew, it would probably cause a commotion in Ripple Origin City. At that time, they definitely wouldn't be as free as before. No large sect would ignore such terrifying experts. Therefore, the three of them obediently hired a boat. In any case, it was only half a day. It wouldn't take long. This small boat was owned by a young man and an old man. It only cost 3 silver rings to get to Ripple Origin City. This price was very cheap for Lei Xingfeng and the others. However, it was different for the boatmen. Ordinary people would never spend this kind of money. Every household here had a boat. No one would spend so much money to hire a boat. Cultivators wouldn't care about this kind of expense. Although the two of them were extremely respectful, they definitely didn't show any fear. In fact, they had seen a lot of cultivators here. It was different from the countryside. Even ordinary people here were experienced and knowledgeable. They all knew that as long as you didn't provoke a cultivator and maintained respect and patience, no cultivator would do anything to you. Although the ship was very small, there was still a decent amount of space at the front of the ship. There was a square table with a large reed mat on it. On the table, there were some salted fish, some dried shrimps, and some fruits and other snacks. Soon, the boat left the pier and headed towards Ripple Origin City. Mad Eagle said, "If we go to Ripple Origin City, those masked men won't dare to follow us. They will probably follow us after we leave." Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "I'm going to Ripple Origin City to find some enlightened beings. As long as I find the answer, we will leave." Mad Eagle said, "Large sects are very arrogant. You have to be prepared to be rejected." Hee. Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "At worst, I'll just kidnap an enlightened being. It's no big deal." Mad Eagle and Tiger Love looked at each other and smiled. Tiger Love smiled and said, "Well, if you want to do this, we will definitely support you." Ha! Lei Xingfeng knew that no matter what decision he made, these two guards would carry it out and give him advice. However, once he made up his mind, they would definitely carry it out without any hesitation, even if it meant sending them to their deaths. Of course, he wasn't stupid enough to send these two high-level guards to their deaths. After chatting along the way, the boat soon entered Ripple Origin City. There were many patrolling boats on the lake. In the afternoon, the boat docked at Ripple Origin City's pier. The pier was huge, and one couldn't see the end of it on either side. All kinds of boats were lined up in a row, and the dense mass looked like dense hedgehogs. Lei Xingfeng said with emotion, "We finally see a large city." From the edge of the island, there were countless houses and buildings that stretched as far as the eye could see. There were no walls here, and there were all kinds of buildings. From the pier to the street, one could be considered to have entered Ripple Origin City. There were no guards here. After all, large sects wouldn't restrict people from entering, especially cultivators. This was the confidence of large sections. Walking along the street, there were countless streets that led to the pier. Basically, every few dozen meters, there would be a road that led into Ripple Origin City. The three swaggered into Ripple Origin City. Lei Xingfeng was very curious, so he kept looking around. Most of the houses here were made of stone. The deeper they went, the denser the buildings on both sides of the street. The streets were very wide, and there were all kinds of trees on both sides. It was a very refreshing city. The ground was very clean, and there wasn't any trash. Mad Eagle asked, "Where are we going?" Lei Xingfeng said, "We are going to find the cultivators' gathering place. Any city occupied by a force will be divided into two parts. One part was for ordinary people, and the other part was for cultivators." The distinction between the two was very clear. Ordinary people couldn't enter the cultivators' area unless there was a need to. Of course, cultivators didn't care. They could enter anywhere. After asking a few people, the three quickly found the cultivators' area. This area was fenced off in the middle of the island, occupying a very good location. Inside, there were individual houses surrounded by green trees and lawns. There were obviously fewer people on the streets. Most of them were cultivators, and there were only a few ordinary people. They were either carrying baskets or pushing carts. They were obviously servants. Standing on the street, Lei Xingfeng was a bit confused. He couldn't just knock on the door and enter a stranger's house. He needed to find a true human rank expert here. Mad Eagle laughed and said, "How about it? Do you need help?" Tiger Love couldn't help but laugh and said, "There are two ways. One is to knock on the door and ask. The other is to provoke and fight. I guarantee that a true human rank expert will appear." He. Mad Eagle nodded and laughed. "Oh, not bad. One is more gentle. The other is more violent. Which one do you like?" Lei Xingfeng looked at the two unscrupulous guards with a bitter smile. This was the first time he saw them use such a method. Although it was a bit shameless, he felt that it should be useful. He said, "I like the second option. I lack fighting experience now." Mad Eagle said, "Then just pick a random house and fight," he said with a bit of evil. Xian Feng was a bit hesitant. To kill them for no reason was too rude. This was too much. No matter what, there had to be a reason. To kill them like this was something Xian Feng couldn't do. He hesitated. This doesn't seem too good, right? And they're a large sect. If we cause trouble, won't we be beaten up? Sure, who smiled. That's for sure. Mad Eagle nodded and said, of course. Any cultivator will go crazy if they fight for no reason. Tiger Love said, as long as you can control them. Hee, don't worry. With us here, no one can hurt you. The two were very excited and instigated, as if he would let them down if he didn't fight. Lei Xingfeng scratched his head and said, why do I feel like something is wrong? I'm here to find someone, not to seek revenge. Mad Eagle spread out his hands and said, you decide. We're just giving advice. Lei Xingfeng suddenly reacted and said, hey, I don't need to do this. Why offend a large sect for no reason? Just go and ask. You too. He didn't know what to say. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love smiled honestly and didn't say anything else. Lei Xingfeng chose a more luxurious house and raised his hand to knock on the door. A servant came out of the room and opened the door to the courtyard. He said, who are you looking for? Lei Xingfeng said, is your master here? The servant asked, who are you? I can report to my master. Lei Xingfeng said, a friend. Go and inform him. The servant still wanted to ask, but Lei Xingfeng's face had already turned cold. He said, hurry up. He released his aura slightly, and the servant was so scared that his whole body went soft. He said repeatedly, yes, yes, I will inform my master. Chapter 137. The servant's face was as pale as a sheet as he crawled back. Mad Eagle giggled and whispered, I bet the owner of this house won't be happy when he comes out. Hee. Tiger Love said, no need to bet. I agree. Sure enough, a middle-aged man came out angrily. He came to the door and said, who are you looking for? He glanced at Lei Xingfeng's waist and saw the white badge. His expression turned slightly better. After all, he was a Millwall master, the same level as him. Besides, he was so young. To have such strength proved that he had great potential. He didn't dare to lose his temper. Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, I just want to ask for directions. How do I get into the inner sect? The man said, inner sect? Who are you looking for? His attitude became better. After all, if he was looking for someone from the inner sect, he should have some connections with the sect. Unexpectedly, Lei Xingfeng said, I don't have anyone in particular. I just want to find a perfected person. Well, any perfected person will do. It's best if it's a high-level perfected person. The man almost fell. His expression changed. He said, you're making fun of me? Lei Xingfeng said, why would I make fun of you? The man was furious. He said, bastard, get away. You're King looking for trouble. Get away. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love couldn't help but laugh. Lei Xingfeng was scolded. He was stunned. He said, that's strange. Why are you scolding me? The man turned and left. He closed the door and scolded. What the CK is this? How dare you come here to make fun of me? Lei Xingfeng raised his foot and kicked the door. With a bang, the door was broken. He said, you come here. That person was not in a good mood to begin with. When he turned around and saw that his door was broken, he was immediately enraged. He came to the door and cursed. Are you King tired of living? How dare you come here and behave so atrociously? If you're tired of living, then go die yourself. Don't bother me. He cursed very viciously. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love, the two unscrupulous bodyguards, couldn't hold back their smiles, as if they were watching a good show. Lei Xingfeng suddenly turned around and said, Sai, you guys are right. With his temper, he would definitely not be able to tolerate it. Even in his previous life, he would not be indifferent to being scolded like this. Therefore, at this point, there was no need for him to endure it. This was a rare opportunity, and he could take advantage of it to flip out. That person had no time to react. Lei Xingfeng was a fourth-ring sage, and he was just a small Millwall master. The two of them were not on the same level, so he didn't even have time to react. Lei Xingfeng appeared in front of that person in a flash. He grabbed that person's hair and pressed it down. Then, he viciously used his knee. Bang, bang, two sounds. The knee directly hit that person's face. Fortunately, Lei Xingfeng didn't intend to kill him. He just wanted to teach him a lesson, so he didn't kill him. As he used his knee to hit him, he said, "Didn't your mother teach you the most basic manners?" As he spoke, he used his knee to hit him again. At the same time, he let go of that person's hair. That person was like a fish that had jumped out of the water. He was sent flying by Lei Xingfeng's knee. That person howled in pain. Lei Xingfeng stepped forward and suddenly punched that person's chin. At the same time, he said, "Since your mother doesn't want to teach you, I will teach you personally what damn manners are." This punch directly sent that person's body, which was about to fall, flying again. Mad Eagle couldn't help but touch his chin. Just now, when he saw Lei Xingfeng's punch, his chin hurt. This kind of attack was very refreshing. He said, "Tiger, our little master, is still very fierce, hee." Tiger Love said, "I don't know what kind of fighting technique this is, but it's very fierce." "Hee, I like it." Mad Eagle laughed and said, "Violent beating." Lei Xingfeng hit very valiantly. Even though that person had already activated his defense, he was still smashed by his fist. That person's howls became louder and louder. He couldn't say a complete sentence. Any words that he wanted to say were fiercely beaten into words that flew out. However, such a violent beating quickly attracted the attention of the neighbors. They were all neighbors and cultivators from the same organization. Seeing their companions being beaten up, those cultivators couldn't stand it any longer. 7 or 8 cultivators ran out and cried for help at the same time. More cultivators came out. Soon, dozens of people gathered. They were all cultivators below the level of Millwheel Master. Lei Xingfeng didn't attract the attention of a true master, but he succeeded in angering the crowd. The group of people quickly gathered. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love looked on indifferently. With their strength, they could probably kill these people with one slap. However, the two of them didn't plan to do anything. They knew that with just these people, they couldn't threaten Lei Xingfeng. However, Mad Eagle still reminded them and said, "You're going to be beaten up by the crowd." If Lei Xingfeng said that he would stop them, Mad Eagle and Tiger Love wouldn't just stand by and watch. However, Lei Xingfeng didn't plan to let the two of them join in. This crazy beating made him feel good. He grabbed that person's hair and dragged him out of the door. The group of people retreated slightly. Lei Xingfeng had already dragged that person out of the door. He said, "Did you have fun scolding me?" That person's nose was caved in, his teeth were all broken, and he kept vomiting blood. It looked very serious, but Lei Xingfeng knew that this was just a flesh wound. It didn't hurt him at all. He just needed to rest for a few days. The group of people looked at their pitiful companion and were instantly furious. Someone shouted, "Mother Aster's beat him up." Following the shout, 7 or 8 people pounced on him. Lei Xingfeng grinned and said, "Good." He let go of his hand and got up to meet them. One in each hand, Lei Xingfeng grabbed the hair of the 2 people who pounced on him the fastest. His arms exerted force, and the 2 people's heads slammed together. Bang! The 2 people went limp. They hugged their heads and lay on the ground. The 2 people were in so much pain that they rolled on the ground. Lei Xingfeng attacked with his hands and feet. He was like a madman. He really pointed to the east and hit the west. There was a series of crackling sounds. In just a few breaths, more than 10 people were lying on the ground. No one could block his attack. Moreover, Lei Xingfeng's hands were very heavy. As long as they were hit, they would lose their ability to attack. Among this group of people, there was a person who seemed to be smart. He shouted, "Don't come into contact with him. Attack him from afar." Suddenly, countless attacks were launched. Skills of various attributes were shot out like rain. Lei Xingfeng sneered. His body trembled slightly, and a layer of lightning appeared. Boom! Boom! Those attacks all landed on his body. The dazzling brilliance gradually disappeared. Soon, Lei Xingfeng's body was revealed. He stood on the ground with a look of indifference. He stared at the crowd and suddenly laughed. He said, "It's impolite not to return the favor. Ha! Take one of my attacks." A bolt of lightning flew out and suddenly turned into a sky full of electric arcs. In an instant, everyone was knocked down. One by one, They were twitching on the ground. Only Mad Eagle and Tiger Love let the electric arcs jump on their bodies as if nothing happened. Mad Eagle even said sarcastically, "Oh, this hit us." Tiger Love said, "Yeah, is it because we didn't attack?" Lei Xingfeng said unhappily, "You guys aren't afraid of my attacks. I won't be distracted. That's not fun." Tiger Love spread out his hands and said, "Haha, do whatever you want." The group of people twitched on the ground. The practitioners who came out later were all scared. They could see that Lei Xingfeng's strength was definitely that of a true master. Immediately, someone ran to report. Although the others also came over, they didn't dare to get close. The practitioners on the ground were all standing in front of 3 people, so it was very eye-catching. Lei Xingfeng said, "I don't want to be like this either. Actually, close combat is better." Boring. The people on the ground endured the numbness with great difficulty, but none of them dared to stand up. If they still didn't understand after fighting until now, then they were really stupid. This was definitely a true master. There was no doubt. With so many people attacking together, the opponent easily defended. This wasn't something a mill-wheel master could do. Someone couldn't help but curse. "Ten Old Xian, it's all your fault. How did you provoke?" Senior. Ten Old Xian was the one who was beaten up by Exine Feng. He wanted to cry, but had no tears. He couldn't say anything. He couldn't tell others that Exine Feng came to ask for directions and was scolded by him. Not to mention himself. Anyone who heard would have the urge to beat him up, but he didn't know that Exine Feng was a true master. He always thought that Exine Feng was the same as him. A Milu master, because of the white plate on this bastard's waist, wasn't he? Bullying him on purpose? Lei Xingfeng squatted down and dragged Ten Old Xian to his side and said, "You're called Ten Old Xian?" Ten Old Xian was about to cry. He couldn't be bullied like that. His face was covered in blood. Exine Feng had a gentle expression as he spoke. "I was only asking for directions. I don't understand why you're scolding me, and in such a bad way. Do we have any grudges?" The people lying on the ground couldn't help but curse in their hearts. Scolded for asking for directions? Was this Ten Old Xian crazy? Ten Old Xian let out a smile that was uglier than crying. He stuttered, "Senior. Senior, I had eyes. Eyes but couldn't see." "Senior," Lei Xingfeng said, "do we have a grudge?" Ten Old Xian said, No. Lei Xingfeng said, "Then why did you scold me?" Although strength was respected here, if one stood on the side of reason, then there was even more reason to be angry. This kind of bullying was what Lei Xingfeng liked to do. He was very happy to beat you up and make you apologize. Ten Old Xian said, Senior, sorry." As expected, he apologized. He could not apologize. Who asked him to scold him so badly in the beginning? Mad Eagle and Tiger Love couldn't hold back their laughter. Mad Eagle said softly, "Young master is too bad, he." Tiger Love said, "This is fun." The two suddenly raised their heads and saw a group of people rushing towards them from the other side of the street. Feng Ying said, "Finally, a few sages are here. Haha, this is a good idea. Otherwise, it would be hard to see them." Chapter 138. The 4 elders of Ripple Origin City were led by an old man with white hair and a distinctive long beard that extended all the way to his chest. He wore a long red satin robe and walked at an extremely fast speed. In just a few steps, he had already arrived in front of the 3 of them. Lei Xingfeng could clearly see that the old man's feet didn't touch the ground. He was actually flying close to the ground. This proved that he was at least a 6th ringed true Een master, a true Een master. This also proved that Ripple Origin City was quite strong. Lei Xingfeng observed the other true masters behind the old man and knew that they were very ordinary, at most 3-ringed true Een masters. Mad Eagle reminded in a small voice, "Be careful, he's a 6th ringed true master." Exine Feng couldn't hide his strength in front of this man. The old man had seen through his strength with a single glance. 4 true ring bodies, great true Lunin master. That was fine, but what shocked him the most was the 2 men behind Exine Feng. He couldn't see through their strength at all, but he was sure that they weren't normal people. They were definitely stronger than him, at least with 7 true ring bodies. Once they reached that level, they would be peak existences in this continent. The old man waited for the other three elders to arrive before speaking. Enchantment, truing master, may I ask where our esteemed guest is from? His words shocked everyone. Almost everyone here was a cultivator who didn't know that Enchantment was the great elder of Ripple Origin City. Not only was he strong, he was also a very domineering person. No one would have thought that he would be so careful in announcing himself. This meant that the other party was on the same level as him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so polite. Lei Xingfeng smiled faintly. Lei Xingfeng, great true master. The three elders behind Onduin all revealed shocked expressions. Looking at Xianfeng, they knew that this person was very young, but he was already a fourth-ringed true master, much stronger than the three of them. Lei Xingfeng asked, "You're in charge of the affairs here?" And Chun said, "No, I'm not in charge. Everything is handled by them. Introduce yourselves." He pointed at the three elders beside him. The three elders behind him came forward, 2 males and 1 female. The males were middle-aged while the female was an old woman, but she was second only to Enchantment, Yin Wei, True Lining Master. A True Lining Master was a level lower than a Great Truing Master, 3-ring Truing Masters. And Wu, Great Mill Wheel Master. This was an expert with 2-ringed True Yin Masters. Qian Zhengkuan, Mill Wheel Master. 1 true master who just stepped into the realm, the weakest of the 3. "Little brother, who are these 2? And Dun asked. He was worried about Fengying and Shihu. He wanted to know how strong they were. Fengying and Shihu both looked at Xianfeng. The 2 of them were guards and couldn't act like their little master. Xianfeng nodded. He wasn't here to kill. He was here to gather information. It would be good if he could intimidate them. Seeing Lei Xingfeng nod, Mad Eagle stepped forward and said, "Old Eagle, True Heart Yin Master." And Chun almost went crazy. True Heart Yin Master? That was an 8th-ringed True Yin Master. Who was this person? Tiger Love stepped forward and said, "Tiger, True Heart Yin Master." 2 8th-ringed True Yin Masters shocked the group to the point of dizziness. This was too terrifying. 2 super experts, both 8th-ringed True Heart Yin Masters. What a joke. Just these 2 alone were enough to wipe out a sect. Tan Lao Xian rolled his eyes and fainted. He actually cursed at a 4th-ringed True Yin Master. The most terrifying thing was that among the 3, there were 2 8th-ringed True Yin Masters. Even if he wanted to die, this wasn't the way to do it. And Chun didn't even look at the disciples on the ground. He smiled and said, "Honored guests, please follow me. Please." They were very enthusiastic, but he couldn't be too enthusiastic. If he offended these 3, it would be a problem for Ripple Origin City to continue to exist. It wouldn't be difficult for 7th ring, 8th ring, and 9th ring true body experts to wipe out a sect. Unless there was a similar expert, it would be completely over. Hence, the threat the 3 of them posed to Ripple Origin City was unimaginable. Although Onduin wasn't the strongest person in Ripple Origin City, he was definitely one of the few decision-makers in Ripple Origin City. The life and death of Ripple Origin City was fundamentally related to him, so he was naturally very nervous. Lei Xingfeng wouldn't make things difficult for the cultivators on the ground. His goal was to lure out the true Yin Masters of Ripple Origin City. Now that his goal was achieved, he didn't bother with these low-leveled cultivators. After Lei Xingfeng and the other 2 left with Enchun, the group of people on the ground slowly got up. Soon, they discovered that although their bodies were numb for a while, none of them were heavily injured. Clearly, Lei Xingfeng was merciful. Tan Lao Xian slowly woke up. He was the last one to get up. Someone said, "Tan Lao Xian, you bastard. Do you want to kill us all?" With one person starting, everyone pointed their spears at him and cursed. Tan Lao Xian said angrily, "F***CK, I didn't know. Those 3 were Truing Masters. I'm just unlucky. Why are you guys shouting?" In his anger, he didn't choose his words carefully. Someone shouted, "King bastard, beat him up." Immediately, everyone surrounded him and started punching and kicking him. Tan Lao Xian wasn't Lei Xingfeng. How could he withstand so many people's attacks? Very quickly, he was beaten to the point of vomiting blood. This time, it wasn't a flesh wound. Some people hated him for causing trouble and attacked him viciously. After a while, Tan Lao Xian stopped breathing. Someone shouted, "Stop hitting him. Tan Lao Xian is going to die." Killing a fellow sect member was a serious crime. Immediately, the crowd dispersed. Only Tan Lao Xian was left lying on the ground. Tan Lao Xian's servant dragged him home. After this blow, Tan Lao Xian quickly left Ripple Origin City. Later on, he found a remote village and went into seclusion after killing the cultivators there. In this lifetime, he never took a step into Ripple Origin City again. Sitting in the guest hall, Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Olden, this place is not bad. How many cultivators are there in Ripple Origin City?" And Chun laughed bitterly and thought, "Olden? That's a new way to address him." Even practitioners of the same level as him had to call him Olden, but this little fellow called him Olden the moment he opened his mouth. However, he wasn't angry on the way here. He had already figured out that these two eighth-ringed experts were like Exine Foam's followers. Even when they walked, they would always follow behind him, and they didn't speak at all. He said, "We have tens of thousands of cultivators here. There are thousands of millwheel masters." Lei Xingfeng said, "How many true masters are there?" "Don't mind me, I'm just curious." Onduin said proudly, "True master-level experts. We have 270 people here." Lei Xingfeng was shocked. "So little," and Chun said seriously, "That's quite a lot. Almost 300 true masters. Normal sects don't have that many masters." Feng Ying pursed his lips. A few hundred sages were already bragging. He was sure that although there were many sages in Ripple Origin City, there were at least 100 first-ring sages. There shouldn't be many high-level sages. According to his estimate, there shouldn't be more than 23rd-ring sages. Tiger Love also curled his lips. He wondered if Ripple Origin City had a 9th-ring sage. At most, there would be an 8th-ring sage. Maybe 1 or 2 7th-ring sages. What Lei Xingfeng didn't know was that Ripple Origin City didn't have a 9th-ring sage. There was an 8th-ring sage, but this ancestor had left the sect to visit friends. This was why Chun was nervous. Ripple Origin City didn't have the power to withstand the attack of 2 8th-ring sages. He had already sent out orders that no one was to anger these 3 in Ripple Origin City, no matter what they did, even if they killed people on the street. And Chun said, "Brother Lei, which sect do you belong to?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. "I don't belong to any sect." And Chun didn't believe him. "Ha. Brother Lei, you must be joking." Lei Xingfeng said, "I'm not joking." And Chun suddenly reacted. You're not from a hidden sect, are you?" I didn't ask." His heart pounded fiercely. Hidden sects were more powerful than any other sect. They weren't experts of this world. The only reason they came to this world was to train their disciples. He knew that he guessed right. Otherwise, he wouldn't have 2 8th-ring sages as his subordinates. Lei Xingfeng smiled. "We're even more powerful than a hidden sect." A hidden sect was an organization, but they weren't. They were an independent sect. Seeing that Lei Xingfeng didn't answer, and Chun smiled helplessly and said, "Brother Lei, what can I help you with?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "I do need your help." "Haha, are you familiar with the large sects in Wanxi continent? I'm talking about famous sections." And Chun paused. "I'm not very familiar with them, but I know a little." "Which sect do you need information about?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I'm looking for someone, but I don't know which sect she's in." It should be a large sect. Her name is Aslan. Like me, she's also a great true Lunin master. She has a special characteristic. She has a green wheel." And Chun said, "Aslan? 4 true ring bodies, green wheel. I've never heard of it." The center of Wanxi continent is very big, and there are many large sections. It's very difficult to find someone, but with these clues, it's not completely hopeless. Aslan, she's a girl?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "She's a bit older and a girl. She's good at making medicine. She shouldn't be unknown." And Chun shook his head. A great true Lunin master is considered a high-level cultivator, but in the center of Wanxi continent, there are still many of them. However, green wheels are rare. After thinking for a while, he said, "There's one thing you don't know. Any sect will take care to hide information about a cultivator with a green wheel. A sect with a high-level true master with a green wheel won't announce it. Chapter 139. Lei Xingfeng said, "Afraid of being poached?" And Chun said, "Poached? Yes, that's a good way to put it. Indeed, a Greenland attribute is a talent that any large sect would want. If there's a chance, of course they'll poach her." Xian Feng spoke. "I'm afraid it's hard to hide. An expert with the Greenland attribute isn't famous for fighting, but for her potions and her ability to heal injuries. If that's the case, she should be quite famous." And Chun nodded. "Okay, I'll arrange for people to investigate. As long as she's famous, I think we should be able to find her." Lei Xingfeng said, "Then I'll have to trouble you. Of course, if you can find her, I'll pay for it. Whether it's Luan rings or Luanine rings, I'll pay for them." And Chun was shocked. Any sect would crave for Luan and Luanine rings. They were hard currency and were hard to get. He nodded. "Okay, I'll arrange for people to contact the large sections. As long as they have contact with Ripple Origin City, I'll send people to ask." Lei Xingfeng thanked him. He knew that with his own strength, he wouldn't be able to find Aslan. In a Wanxi continent, finding someone without an exact location was like finding a needle in a haystack. It was too difficult, and Chun apologized to Lei Xingfeng and said that he would punish Old Xian. Lei Xingfeng immediately waved his hand. "Don't punish him, there's no need." With his status, there was no need to argue with a small mill wheel engineer, and Chun was just going through the motions. He didn't want to punish a low-level disciple. Of course, he had to show his attitude. He also knew that Lei Xingfeng wouldn't pursue the matter. He nodded. "Okay, Brother Lei, how long do you plan to stay in Ripple Origin City?" Lei Xingfeng said, "As long as there's news, we'll leave immediately." He didn't want to stay here for too long. And Chun heaved a sigh of relief. He didn't want to keep these 3 strong guys. Who knew when he would offend them? They were like 3 unknown bombs that could blow up the entire sect. Lei Xingfeng asked, "Olden, does it often rain here?" Anduin wasn't the only one who was stunned. Even Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were confused. The others were even more confused. And Dun was puzzled. "The rainy season is over. It rarely rains now." Lei Xingfeng said, "Yes. Is it that there are none or very few?" And Chun said, "It's very rare. I can't say for sure. Occasionally, there will be heavy rain." Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Okay, I got it." He really wanted thunderstorm weather. He had already stabilized his 4th true ring body and could continue to cultivate crazily. However, he had to find thunderstorm weather. Only then could he cultivate as fast as possible. This was his secret technique. At this moment, Qian Jinkuan opened his mouth as though he wanted to say something, but he closed it again. Coincidentally, Lei Xingfeng, who was sitting beside him, happened to catch a glimpse of him. He immediately smiled and said, "Old Qian, you seem to have something to say." Qian Zhengkuan smiled bitterly to himself. "Old Qian?" This title was a mess. He said, "Senior, I've been to a place where it often rains. It's not far from here. You can reach it with a Luan spot." Lei Xingfeng was overjoyed. He said, "Really? That's great." Qian Zhengkuan said, "There's a mountain range over there." And Dun said, "You mean Disorderly Lake Mountain?" Qian Zhengkuan nodded. "Yes, it's Disorderly Lake Mountain." And Dun said, "That's right. Indeed, it often rains there. It's very dangerous." Lei Xingfeng said, "What's so dangerous about it?" And Dun said, "There's not only heavy rain, but also dangerous lightning. Disorderly Lake Mountain, also known as Mount Lei Ji. No one lives there." Lei Xingfeng's face was full of smiles. He said, "Haha, really? That's great. Old Qian, lead the way. If you're right, I'll give you Luan rings." Qian Jingkuan went crazy. He said, "What? Luan rings? You'll give me Luan rings?" Lei Xingfeng laughed. "If that Mount Lei Ji really has countless thunderstorm, haha, I'll give you at least 100 Luan rings." If he could find a place to train, 100 Luan rings was nothing. He never cared about these things. As for Mad Eagle and Tiger Love, they didn't care about Luan rings at all. What they needed were Een rings. Those were treasures that could only be made by monarchs. Only with those things could they train. Of course, it was very difficult for them to get Een rings. They had to complete very difficult missions to get them. Even if they could get them, they were very few in number. Luan rings. Not only was Qian Junquan excited, but Dun and the others also showed a trace of greed. These things were too rare. Lei Xingfeng said, "Old Qian, lead the way. We'll go to Mount Lei Ji first." "Oh, Olden, help me find Aslan as soon as possible. If you have any news, send someone to Mount Lei Ji to find me." Mount Lei Ji was also called Chaotic Lake Mountain. This was a very mystical place. Thunderstorms rained all year round. Basically, there would be a thunderstorm every few days. What was even more frightening was that the thunderstorms and lightning here were very dense. There were almost no creatures that could survive in the lightning, so no one would survive here. This kind of place was a treasure for Lei Xingfeng. It was a holy land for training. Lei Xingfeng also trained normally. Because of his excellent aptitude, even if he trained normally, his speed was not bad. However, compared to training in the thunderstorm, the two were completely incomparable. Training in the thunderstorm was like the difference between an ox cart and a sports car. It was just that it wasn't easy to train in the thunderstorm. Back then, in order to find natural lightning, Elder Thunderstorm had taken him to the wildlands for a long time. Even during the rainy season, Lei Xingfeng couldn't always find places with lightning. Lei Xingfeng arrived at Mount Lei Ji. Unfortunately, it was sunny here. There wasn't even a thunderstorm, let alone lightning. Qian Jinquan pointed to the mountain range in front and smiled. "This is Mount Lei Ji. Well, it's not very big, but it's very famous for its thunderstorm." Lei Xingfeng stared at the mountain range, not far away. He smiled. What a strange mountain. No wonder it's called Chaotic Lake Mountain. Disorderly Lake Mountain was indeed very strange. On the surface of the endless lake, there were countless mountain peaks of varying heights scattered on the surface of the lake. One could barely make out the direction of the mountain range. There were no plants on the mountain peaks, only bare rocks. Only at the foot of the mountain were some reeds. Lei Xingfeng looked around for a moment. He said, "Let's go." There were no boats here. When they came out of the Luan Point, there was a small piece of land surrounded by lake water. Qian Junquan smiled bitterly. "Do we swim?" Mad Eagle said, "I'll do it." Tiger Love had already squatted down. Lei Xingfeng was lying on his back. Mad Eagle grabbed Qian Junquan and flew towards Mount Lei Ji. Qian Junquan screamed in shock. Mad Eagle shouted, "Shut up." Qian Junquan's face turned red. He wasn't afraid, but it was too sudden. Even if he was a real person, he couldn't control himself when he flew into the air. Tiger Love carried Lei Xingfeng and flew quickly. In just a few seconds, he landed on the top of a tall mountain with Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng looked at Qian Junquan and said, "You go back first. If there's any news, let Olden come and inform us." Mad Eagle said, "I'll send him back." "Ha!" Qian Junquan couldn't go back by himself. With his strength, he couldn't open the Luan Point. This wasn't a fixed commercial channel, but a Luan Point used by high-level practitioners. Mad Eagle had just put Qian Junquan down. Hearing this, he immediately grabbed him and flew back. After a while, Mad Eagle came back. He smiled and said, "The little guy was still mumbling about Lun rings, haha." Lei Xingfeng slapped his head and said, "Oh, I forgot. I'll give it to him next time I see him." Mad Eagle couldn't help but laugh. "Haha, you forgot. That Qian Junquan is going to cry." "Haha." He seemed to be gloating. Tiger Love scratched his head and said, "The Luan Mark is a great help to that guy. Of course he cares." Lei Xingfeng smiled bitterly and said, "I'll make it up to him. All right, if I forget again, please remind me." "Oh, I didn't mean to." Mad Eagle looked around. He walked to a huge rock and punched it. With a loud bang, the huge rock collapsed. He picked up a rock and examined it carefully. Lei Xingfeng also picked up a rock curiously. He looked at it and said in surprise, "Iron ore?" He picked up another rock and realized that there was a suction force between the two. He said, "Magnetite." Tiger Love also picked up a rock and said, "What's magnetite?" Lei Xingfeng couldn't explain it. This was knowledge from his previous life, but he knew that magnetite was something he needed. Of course, he wouldn't collect it himself. He would ask his subordinates to do it in the future. He understood a little. No wonder there was lightning here. The entire mountain was probably a huge conductor of lightning. Mad Eagle said, "We can't stay on the mountain. Once the lightning strikes, it'll be difficult to block it." Even if he was an eighth ring, he still had to avoid the power of nature. Tiger Love agreed. "Let's go to the foot of the mountain. It's safer there." Mad Eagle was a little confused. "There's nothing here other than some iron ore. Why stay here?" "Huh, there's nothing here." Lei Xingfeng said, "I'm going to stay here for a while." Let's camp at the foot of the mountain for now." Once he made a decision, Mad Eagle and Tiger Love wouldn't object. They had no reason to support him. After all, they were just guards. Mad Eagle said, "It's best if there's a boat." I'll go look for it. I'll be back in a while." Tiger Love nodded. "Go ahead. I'll take care of the safety here." Mad Eagle said to Lei Xingfeng, "I'll be back in a while." His body flickered into the air and disappeared in an instant. Tiger Love grabbed Lei Xingfeng's arm and jumped down from the mountain. At the foot of the mountain was a large muddy beach with countless reeds. Lei Xingfeng laughed bitterly and said, "We really need a boat. There's no way to set up camp here." Tiger Love said, I feel a little uneasy here. Although it's sunny now, are we really going to stay here?" He didn't know that Lei Xingfeng could benefit from the thunderstorm and wanted to leave with Lei Xingfeng. Chapter 140. Lei Xingfeng smiled. "It's okay. I'm of the lightning attribute, so I'm naturally immune to lightning." 2 hours later, Mad Eagle came back. He flew directly to the lake and released a small boat from his hidden Lun space. With his strength, his hidden Lun space was huge. Even a large sailboat wouldn't be a problem, let alone a small boat. Tiger Love pulled Lei Xingfeng from the foot of the mountain and landed on the small boat. He smiled. "Did you steal it?" Mad Eagle said, "Do I need to steal a small boat? I bought it. It's not like it's valuable." The small boat was complete. Tiger Love said, "I'll row it." As he spoke, he had already reached the back of the boat and grabbed the paddle. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but smile. Mad Eagle asked curiously, "What's wrong? Why are you laughing?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I think the paddle won't be able to support his strength." The paddle broke in two. Tiger Love was stunned. He said, "Damn, this thing isn't strong. Old Eagle, the thing you bought isn't strong enough." "I don't have a spare paddle," Feng said. "Why don't you make a paddle? This mountain is full of iron ore." I think it'll be easy to make a paddle." He seemed to be taking pleasure in Feng's misfortune. Lei Xingfeng turned his wrist, and a steel paddle appeared. He raised his hand and threw it. He said, "Catch." Mad Eagle was shocked. You actually brought a steel paddle with you?" Xi and Feng laughed. "It's a wooden paddle left behind. We can't use it at all. Not to mention that you're all 8th ringed. Even if I was a Miloon master, it would break with a bit of force, so I prepared a steel paddle." Tiger Love set up the steel paddle. With a light pull, the boat shot out like an arrow. He laughed. This is good." After circling the lake, the boat returned to the water at the foot of the mountain. Mad Eagle asked, "What else do you want us to do?" Lei Xingfeng smiled. We'll wait here." Neither Mad Eagle nor Tiger Love asked what they were waiting for. If he wanted to wait, then so be it. The two sat down. Mad Eagle said, "Tiger, get some fresh fish." Lei Xingfeng said, "Shrimp." "Well, I'll cook a dish fried shrimp." It'll be delicious." Sherhu shook his head. "I don't have a net, and I don't know how to fish." "Old Eagle, you do it." Feng said, "Idiot, you don't even know how to catch fish." Sherhu said, "Of course I don't know how to catch fish." "You're smart. Go catch one." "I don't either," Feng said nonchalantly. Sherhu glared at him. "Then why did you call me stupid?" "I didn't say I was smart." Mad Eagle said. Tiger Love was rendered speechless. He pointed at Mad Eagle and said, This is the first time I've seen you so shameless." Feng chuckled. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but shake his head. This was the first time he had seen the two of them bicker like this. He could tell that they were close. He sighed and said, "Fine, I'll do it myself." "Looks like I'm the smart one," he said narcissistically. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love rolled their eyes. Lei Xingfeng not only had a steel paddle, he also had a fishing net in his hidden Lun space. However, He didn't plan to use it. Instead, he went to the side of the boat, reached into the lake, and released an electric current. In an instant, fish of all sizes floated up around the fishing boat. He said, "Fish." The efficiency of the electric current was very high. A large number of fish were knocked out in one hit. The lake within 100 meters was filled with unconscious fish. Feng and Shihu's eyes widened. They never thought that fishing would be so easy. All they had to do was grab the fish, and they could even pick and choose. Feng gave a thumbs up. Impressive, impressive. Catching fish is too easy. Shihu, let's fish. No fisherman dared to come here, so there was an abundance of fish. There were all kinds of fish, and many of them were big. After fishing up a bunch of fish, there were also many large lake prawns. Lei Xingfeng picked and chose. He threw the fish he didn't need back into the lake and kept the fish he needed. The electric current he released was very precise. It only knocked out the fish and didn't kill them. Otherwise, he wouldn't have seen a single fish. They would probably have turned into ashes in the lake. He only took the flesh of the big fish and threw away the rest. As for the lake prawns that were as thick as a thumb, he picked out the prawns that were about the same size. He cut off the prawns and put them aside. He took out pots and pans, as well as a charcoal stove. Lei Xingfeng had already put these things in his hidden Luan space. They were all necessities. Lei Xingfeng even prepared 3 sets. Having food, but no stove was a painful thing. In Mad Eagle and Tiger Love's hidden Luan space, there were actually all kinds of utensils and cooking utensils. Of course, since Lei Xingfeng took them out, they didn't have to worry. Moreover, the two of them weren't good at cooking. If someone was cooking, even if it was their young master, they wouldn't help. Their cooking skills were really not presentable. Braised fish, fried prawns, cut a large pot of beef and salted meat, and a large pot of rice. With Lei Xingfeng's speed, it was done very quickly. His cooking skills weren't that good, but after all, he had the foundation from his previous life. No matter how much he cooked, it was much better than Mad Eagle and Tiger Love. He was still depressed in his heart. There were cooking experts in this world. When he went to Shiron Land, he met Jean Dupang. He was the real culinary expert. Even Lei Xingfeng admired him a lot. The simple dishes were very fresh, and the taste was quite good. The 3 of them were all gluttons. They had stomachs that ordinary people couldn't compete with. In one meal, they finished all the food. Mad Eagle wiped his greasy mouth and said, "Delicious." Tiger Love sighed and said, "Old Eagle, in the future, we'll eat ready-made food. It's much better than the food we cooked ourselves." Lei Xingfeng was puzzled. Am I the master, or are you the masters? After the meal, the 3 of them chatted at the bow of the boat. Lei Xingfeng took the opportunity to ask about his master and grandmaster and to understand the situation. For 4 consecutive days, it was sunny. Lei Xingfeng waited very patiently. Fortunately, there was no shortage of food. The 3 of them cultivated on the boat, chatted when they had nothing to do, or swam in the lake. Their days were very leisurely. On the morning of the 5th day, when Lei Xingfeng woke up, he found that it was a foggy day. The thick white fog was so thick that it couldn't be seen from a few meters away. He immediately became excited. Was it going to rain? Who knew that in the afternoon, the fog would dissipate and the weather would become clear again? Lei Xingfeng was so angry that his face turned green. He couldn't help but mutter, "What the hell? Isn't this a stormy area? The weather is good. It's even more sunny than Ripple Origin City. What the hell? Why don't you let it rain?" Mad Eagle and Tiger Love saw that Lei Xingfeng's expression wasn't good. The 2 of them tried their best to change the topic, even though they didn't know why Lei Xingfeng was unhappy. In the afternoon, Lei Xingfeng sat on the side of the boat, bored to death. His 2 legs were in the lake, and he stared blankly into the distance. He was still thinking in his heart, "I wonder where Yi went. Oh, Yi is very strong, so he shouldn't be in any danger. It's just that little sister. I wonder where she is. Aslan actually took little sister away. I wonder if the people of Ripple Origin City can find Aslan's sect." Mad Eagle suddenly flew into the air, followed by Tiger Love. Lei Xingfeng was instantly alarmed. He looked up and said, "Uncle Ling, Uncle Tiger, what's wrong?" Soon, Mad Eagle landed and said, "6 galleons are coming." Lei Xingfeng said, "They're coming towards us?" Tiger Love also landed and said, "That's right, they're coming towards us." Lei Xingfeng said, "Are they passing by?" Mad Eagle shook his head and said, "I don't know, but they shouldn't be a threat. Hee hee, if they don't have eyes, then it's going to be fun." The three of them were bored out of their minds. Something was better than nothing. Lei Xingfeng suddenly laughed. He said, "It's only been 5 days. Let's wait a few more days. Sigh, what we're waiting for won't come. It's definitely not what we want." Tiger Love said, "That's really profound. I don't understand." Mad Eagle also said, "I don't understand either. Hee hee, it's too profound." Lei Xingfeng was so angry that he wanted to hit them, but the two guards were much stronger than him. He couldn't beat them. He said angrily, "Stupid, you can't even understand such simple words." To put it simply, you don't get what you want, but you get what you don't want. The two of them deliberately angered him. They shook their heads and said, "I don't understand." Lei Xingfeng was so angry that he scolded, "Go to hell. I'm so angry." The two of them suddenly laughed. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. He said, "Sigh, so annoying. Hee hee." Soon, the galleons appeared. Lei Xingfeng looked carefully and said doubtfully, "It seems like they're coming for us. Strange, there shouldn't be any ships here. We haven't seen any ships in the past few days, but suddenly 6 galleons appeared." The sky suddenly darkened. Dark clouds rolled in the sky. Lei Xingfeng looked up at the sky. He said in surprise, it's cloudy. It looks like it's going to rain, haha." He suddenly became excited. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love didn't understand. What was there to be happy about when it was raining? The faint sound of thunder could be heard. Lei Xingfeng became even more excited. The Luan Yinli in his body was crazily rotating. His cultivation level actually increased by a level. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love looked at each other. The two of them already felt that something was wrong. They just didn't know what was wrong. They couldn't help but become more alert. The galleons were about a few hundred meters away. They suddenly spread out and surrounded them. They quickly flew over. Lei Xingfeng's gaze turned from the horizon to the galleons. He didn't see the people at the front of the galleons. He couldn't help but curse. "They're really haunting us." He actually saw a few people wearing masks. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love also saw them. Mad Eagle said, "Masked men?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "I don't know what they did to me. They actually managed to track us here." Tiger Love said, "And since they followed us here, there's no need for them to leave. Old Eagle, think of a way to find their base and destroy them." Since they dared to chase after Little Master, they had to face a merciless massacre. Lei Xingfeng nodded. "This organization is very annoying. They're like mad dogs. Once they bite, they won't let go." Mad Eagle said, "It's okay. Just leave it to us." The galleons quickly surrounded the galleons. There were 6 galleons. They were all about 30 meters long. Each galleon could carry about 200 people. It was obvious how important this was. Lei Xingfeng also noticed that the masks on the galleons changed again. One of them was wearing a golden mask. 2 of them were wearing silver masks. The rest were wearing red, blue, black, and green masks. Chapter 141. Mad Eagle's expression changed slightly. He said, "They're not weak. They have 7th and 6th ring sages. Are there any 8th ring sages?" Tiger Love said, "No, the strongest is the guy with the golden mask. 7th ring, there's no doubt about it." Lei Xingfeng said, "Motherf asterisk her. They're so ruthless. Hee hee, they actually sent 7th and 6th ring sages to deal with the 4th ring sages. They really think too highly of me." If it weren't for Mad Eagle and Tiger Love, Lei Xingfeng wouldn't be a match at all. However, the maskers also made a mistake. They didn't expect that there would be 2 8th ring sages here. They thought that even if Lei Xingfeng found helpers, it would be amazing if he could find 1 or 2 6th ring sages. They didn't know that Lei Xingfeng wasn't from a large sect, but a secret sect passed down from a mysterious master, an expert with 7 true ring bodies. Even if he couldn't sweep through a large sect, defeating a large sect wasn't a problem. Furthermore, it was almost impossible for him to fail to kill a true master with 4 true ring bodies. It could also be said that the masker's organization hated Xian Feng to the bone, or else they wouldn't have sent such an expert to kill him. Mad Eagle said, "This organization should be very strong. They can easily mobilize 7th and 6th ring sages. The headquarters should have more experts. Yes, we also need to recruit experts. If we want to wipe out a sect, we need to be well prepared." Tiger Love said, "Just borrow a few experts." Mad Eagle said, "Yes, when this battle is over, I'll go back." "That's him. That's him," a man with a blue mask shouted. He pointed at Lei Xingfeng and shouted to the man with a golden mask. Lei Xingfeng laughed when he heard the voice. He said, "A loser like you still has the face to come back?" The man in the golden mask took a step forward and said coldly, "Little guy, you've got guts. I'll give you a way out. Surrender. You won't be able to escape. Hee, since you're talented, as long as you're loyal to our organization, I'll spare your life," he said condescendingly. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh and said, "Ha, you seem to have me in your grasp. If I don't surrender, will you kill me?" The blue-masked man said, "You're dead." Lei Xingfeng said, "It's hard to say who will die. I let you escape last time, but I don't think so this time." The sky became even gloomier. Suddenly, there was a flash of light. The sound of rolling thunder came from the distance. Amidst the rumbling, rain began to fall. Lei Xingfeng stretched out his hand, and a few raindrops hit his palm. He smiled. "It's raining." The man with the golden mask saw Lei Xingfeng's nonchalant attitude and couldn't help but shout angrily, "Men, go capture him." A man with a silver mask beside him said, "I'll do it. This little guy is really stubborn." This was a truing master with 6 true ring bodies. Against Lei Xingfeng, it was like using a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. The man with the silver mask flew from the bow and pounced over. Lei Xingfeng couldn't tell how many rings he had, but if he could fly, then he was at least a true ring master. This wasn't something he could defend against. He wasn't that stupid. He said, "I'll let you have him." Feng Ying pounced at the sound. Tiger Love said, "Don't worry, Old Eagle will take care of him." Lei Xingfeng smiled, "Of course." The man with the silver mask flew up. Everyone on the ship relaxed, especially the man with the gold mask. He felt that the organization was making a fuss over nothing. For a true ring master, they actually brought a true ring master, 2 true ring masters, and a bunch of other true ring masters. Watching the man with the silver mask charge towards the ship, he said, "This guy is finished. Before his laughter disappeared, he saw another person fly up from the ship. He was shocked. "HM? What's going on?" A true ring master who could fly was at least a true ring master. How could the other side have someone who could fly? Before the man with the gold mask could react, the fight was over. In terms of battle, Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were extremely experienced. Both of them had been through cruel battles. It wasn't a big deal to fight the people here. Moreover, their opponents were much weaker than them. A true ring master and a true ring master, the two couldn't be compared at all. Instant kill. There was a dazzling flash of light. It was the reflection of metal. In that flash, the two crossed each other. The man with the silver mask was still flying in the air for a while before his body suddenly broke. He let out a hurried cry. It was a very strange sound. Blood spurted out and he fell from the sky. He was cut in half at the waist. Mad Eagle didn't even look back. He pounced on the enemy's ship. The man with the gold mask shouted, "Stop him." Of course, he knew something was wrong. To be able to kill a true ring master in one move, he definitely wasn't a true ring master. Even he wasn't sure he could kill a true ring master in one move. The man with the gold mask suddenly understood that this was a trap, waiting for them to take the bait. Boom! One of the ships shattered. In just one move, the gold mask and silver mask had already fled into the air. The ship they were on was completely destroyed. The two were scared into turning around and running. The two understood that this person definitely wasn't a true ring master. He was at least in true ring master. What a joke. And true ring master within true ring master's name was definitely a top fighter. Mad Eagle roared, "Tiger, I'll leave the rest to you. These two are mine." He chased after the two. Lei Xingfeng was also seeing Mad Eagle in action for the first time. He was very shocked. This was too sharp, killing people like slaughtering chickens. Tiger Love laughed. I'll go destroy their ship. Don't let them escape. Lei Xingfeng was speechless. These two were indeed strong. He nodded. Okay, go. He couldn't go up and kill them. He couldn't swim across the lake. Tiger Love flew out. The gold mask saw this from afar and was scared out of his wits. There was already an 8-ring master. Could it be that the enemy was hiding an 8-ring master? What kind of person did they offend? He didn't have any hope left. His only thought was to escape. He was already a 7-ring master. If he died here, it wouldn't be worth it. Boom, boom, boom. Tiger Love didn't target any cultivators. He only targeted the ships. To him, destroying a ship in one move was a very easy thing to do. The people on the ships jumped into the water. Staying on the ships was suicide. As long as they were on the ships, they would be destroyed together with the ship. After attacking 5 times, 5 ships were destroyed. Including the ship that Foaming destroyed, all 6 ships were destroyed. Only a few people were smart enough to jump into the water. Those who stayed on the ships didn't survive. They were destroyed along with the ships. Even a 6th-ring swordsman couldn't block this attack, let alone them. No matter what defense they used, it was useless. Shirhu only attacked 5 times before turning back. He landed on the bow of the boat and said, "You can't even take a hit." Xi and Foam smiled bitterly. 8th-ringed true masters rarely made a move on this continent. They were mostly used to intimidate others. Once an 8th-ring true master was used, it would be a situation where one side would fight to the death. Of course, now that he was fighting to the death, there was no way for him to compromise. There were still many people left on the lake. There were all those who jumped into the water first. Lei Xingfeng suddenly noticed a guy. He said, "That guy, the guy in the blue mask, catch him." Tiger Love glanced and said, "That 4-ring sage? Okay, I'll catch him." Soon, Tiger Love caught the man. A 4-ring sage couldn't fight against Tiger Love at all. After catching him, Tiger Love crushed his limbs and threw him to the bow of the boat to prevent him from resisting. He said, "Do you have a grudge against him?" Exine Foam spoke. "It can't be considered a grudge. I just fought with him last time, and he swore that I was dead for sure." Tiger Love grabbed the man's mask and said, "A bunch of shameful people. Why are you wearing masks?" Exine Foam spoke. "I'm curious as well. For some reason I got into trouble with these things, and then they're like mad dogs, not letting me go at all. I don't understand. Why are they so tyrannical?" Tiger Love smiled. "Don't be surprised. This kind of shady organization has always been domineering. But they probably didn't expect to get into such big trouble. Let's see if Old Eagle can catch that 7-ring sage. If he can, maybe we can find their nest. We'll go play then." Lei Xingfeng squatted down and patted the man's face. He smiled and said, "Hey, we meet again. What's her name?" The man looked at Lei Xingfeng in despair. Mad Eagle's thunderous attack just now had scared him out of his wits. He was too strong and was not something a sage of his level could resist. Even the ancestors in the organization were running for their lives, so he was nothing. It was not surprising that he was caught. Although he had lost all hope of survival, the man was still very stubborn. He gritted his teeth and stared at Lei Xingfeng. His eyes were full of hatred and resentment. It was chilling. Tiger Love said, "This man won't say anything. Let's just kill him. Well, if we let him go, he'll take revenge by hook or by crook. Even if we're not afraid of him, we'll be annoyed to death by him." He knew very well that this man hated Lei Xingfeng to death. Lei Xingfeng sighed. "Why do you have to do this? Forget it, I won't ask. Kill them all, and my heart will be at peace." His palm flickered, and a ray of light hit the man's body. In an instant, the man turned to ashes. Shirhu smiled. "Let's have Old Eagle interrogate him later." Lei Xingfeng looked at the torrential rain, and his mood suddenly became very good. Although this was not the time to cultivate, he knew that he had found a good place. At the very least, he could raise his strength to 5-ring. It shouldn't be a problem. Tiger Love looked at the people who were running for their lives and said, "Those people, are you going to let them go?" Lei Xingfeng said without hesitation, "Kill them. Leaving them alive is also a disaster." Although these people were running for their lives, Lei Xingfeng did not have two experts to protect him. These people would definitely be like wolves and tigers. Chapter 142. Tiger Love nodded and immediately flew out. He admired Lei Xingfeng's decision. He didn't like indecisive people. Xi and Feng sat at the front of the boat as the rain poured down on him. In the sky, bolts of lightning struck down one after another. He noticed a strange phenomenon. Almost all of the bolts of lightning struck the tall mountain peaks, not a single one falling into the lake. Every time a bolt of lightning struck down, sparks would fly from the mountain peak. Lei Xingfeng secretly rejoiced that he hadn't stayed on the mountain peak. Even if he cultivated the lightning attribute, he wouldn't have been able to withstand such terrifying lightning strikes. Perhaps even Mad Eagle and Tiger Love wouldn't have been able to withstand it. This was the power of nature. It wasn't something humans could withstand. After some calculations, Lei Xingfeng shook his head slightly. He knew that he should just stay on the lake and cultivate. Tiger Love flew close to the surface of the lake. In just a few moments, there were no survivors on the lake. Everyone who had fallen into the water had been slaughtered. After a while, Mad Eagle flew back alone. He said, "Killed one, escaped one." Haha, that seventh ring sage was quite alert. He escaped very quickly. However, he was heavily injured by me. He won't die, but it'll be difficult for him to maintain his seventh ring cultivation unless he can find a high-level sage with a green ring. Lei Xingfeng said, "Unfortunately, we can't find their base." Mad Eagle said, "Haha, unless they have a ninth ring sage, otherwise they'll probably give up." Tiger Love said, "They're always a scourge." Mad Eagle said, "It's fine. I left a mark on that guy. Haha, no matter what, we'll be able to find their base." Tiger Love nodded. "I was wondering, how could you let that person go?" "I see. This kind of mysterious organization is the most annoying. Even if they're no longer a threat, they'll still disgust you." Lei Xingfeng said, "I'm going to cultivate here for a while and wait for news from Ripple Origin City." The two of them nodded. Although they did not understand why Lei Xingfeng wanted to cultivate here, they were both guards. Once their master made a decision, they would not question it. Mad Eagle said, "I'll leave for a while and follow that person. I want to see where their organization is. Tiger, you stay here and guard it." Tiger Love smiled and said, "Leave it to me. I will guard this place." Lei Xingfeng had no objection. He also wanted to know where the massacre organization was. Once he found their nest, he would go back to find help and eliminate the hidden danger in one fell swoop. Mad Eagle immediately flew into the air, took a moment to determine the direction, and disappeared without a trace. Tiger Love came to the stern and asked, "Where are we going to cultivate?" Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Just circle around the peak." He still did not dare to go up the mountain to cultivate. He only dared to circle around the peak. This way, he could maximize his strength. Tiger Love agreed and rowed the boat all the way to the foot of the mountain. Lei Xingfeng sat at the bow and cultivated. It rained heavily for 2 days, and Lei Xingfeng cultivated for 2 days. This time, even Tiger Love was surprised because he could sense that Lei Xingfeng's cultivation was increasing crazily. Unfortunately, on the 3rd day, the rain stopped and Lei Xingfeng stopped cultivating. In just 2 days, Lei Xingfeng was about to break through. Tiger Love also saw the mystery. He asked, "Is it because of the thunderstorm?" Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "Yes, the thunderstorm can help me cultivate." He did not say much and only revealed a little. Tiger Love understood that this might be the secret of Lei Xingfeng's cultivation. Tiger Love sighed and said, "When I was your age, I was only 1,000 Luan master, but I was already called a genius." Lei Xingfeng knew that from 16 to 20 years old, if there was no special opportunity or heaven-defying potential, it would be impossible to reach his current height. Actually, Tiger Love at this age, becoming 1,000 Luan master was already quite amazing. He also knew his own weakness, which was that his promotion speed was too fast and he had too few skills. He did not have time to make his own exclusive weapon and lacked specialized skills, so he did not have time to learn them. What he used was still instinctive attacks, although the power was not bad, but it was too monotonous. This was also why he preferred close-quarters combat. This was a habit left behind from his training since young. At that time, he only learned close-quarters combat and weapon attacks because he started learning at a young age. These were already deeply ingrained in his bones. Lei Xingfeng did not have time to correct this kind of flaw. His most important task now was to quickly raise his cultivation. It would be best if he could reach the 9th ring true body. At that time, he would carefully ponder and pursue it. Techniques and skills were much easier than raising his cultivation, so he was not in a hurry. Even if he could instinctively control lightning, Lei Xingfeng's attacks were actually not weak and were even very strong. This was not brought about by techniques, but because the lightning itself was strong to the extreme. Just based on this, it was not a problem to deal with a true master of the same level. This was also one of the reasons why Lei Xingfeng was not in a hurry. According to Lei Xingfeng's estimations, after another thunderstorm, he would very likely break through. Once he broke through, he would only need to consolidate his foundation and then leave. The second thunderstorm, after waiting for 8 days, finally began. Lei Xingfeng immediately began to train. Condensing a 5th ring true body required a certain amount of Yinli, and within the Lun Yinli in his body, the proportion of Yinli was getting higher and higher. Once his Yinli surpassed Lun Yinli, he would be able to become a true treasure Lun Yin master and condense a 5th ring true body. The biggest difference between a 5th and 6th ring was Lun Yinli and Yinli. Once he reached 6th ring, he would become a true Yin master, and his entire body's strength would be Yinli. This was the highest level of strength for a true master, one level higher than Lun Yinli and Lun Yinli. Lei Xingfeng was trying to break through from 4th ring to 5th ring. Large amounts of Yinli began to appear in his body and began to occupy the position of Lun Yinli. Once Yinli became dominant, everything would follow naturally, and this thunderstorm gave Lei Xingfeng this opportunity. Training in a thunderstorm, in the midst of thunder and lightning, the effects were incredible, especially here, where all the lightning was absorbed by the mountain peak. Not only was it safe to train on the lake, but the effects were also surprisingly good. Shihu rode the entire way. He knew that Exine Feng had reached a critical moment and was about to level up. He tried his best to be as gentle as possible as he rowed the boat into the water, gently stirring it. The boat moved very slowly on the surface of the lake. When the heavy rain hit the surface of the lake, it gave off a hua-hua-hua sound, mixed with the rumbling of thunder. Bolts of dazzling lightning continuously struck down, striking the mountain peak and creating countless sparks. It was especially eye-catching in the dusky night. Tiger Love was extremely envious. After these days of observation, he completely understood what a true genius was. Cultivation was like flying. He used 8 years to break through from 4th ring to 5th ring, and that was with the use of many Lun Yin rings. If he didn't have Lun Yin rings, he wouldn't even be able to break through from 4th ring to 5th ring in 10 to 20 years. But now, he saw that Lei Xingfeng had only stopped for a short period of time and was about to break through. Advancing from a 4th ring to a 5th ring was much easier than advancing from a 5th ring to a 6th ring. It wasn't a huge barrier as long as one's Yinli was accumulated to a certain degree. It would naturally condense a 5th ring true body, which was why Exine Feng was very relaxed. He only continued to circulate the Lun Yinli in his body, drawing in the power of the lightning from the outside, circulating it over and over again, adding on the lightning stamp that the old man Lei Bao gave him. With the two complementing each other, he was about to reach his goal of advancing. Lei Yin rolled in his body. The power from the outside world crazily poured in. Unfortunately, all of the lightning was absorbed by the mountain peak. If only a strand of it came over, he would immediately break through. At this point, Lei Xingfeng understood that once he reached 6th ring true body, he could enter the air and directly undergo the baptism of lightning. He would definitely be able to break through crazily. That was what Elder Thunderstorm did in the past, and he succeeded. Elder Thunderstorm's success was something that Lei Xingfeng finally understood. He couldn't help but secretly rejoice. In the past, he was so daring. If he made a mistake, he would have turned into a pile of ashes. There probably wouldn't even be a trace of him left. He didn't dare to think too much. He quickly adjusted his state of mind and continued to cultivate. The Yinli in his body slowly increased, and in less than an hour after the rain stopped, he successfully condensed his fifth ring true body and became a true treasure Luanine master. Tiger Love sighed again. Comparing people to each other would lead to death, and comparing goods to goods would lead to throwing away. Everyone had their own lives. There was no point in being envious. Lei Xingfeng stood up, his joints crackling. He dived into the lake and took off his clothes to wash up. Condensing his fifth ring true body was equivalent to cleansing his body. Therefore, whether it was his strength or his body's toughness, it had increased by a large amount. Tiger Love said, "Congratulations." Lei Xingfeng popped his head out of the lake and laughed. "Haha, I'm lucky." Tiger Love cursed in his heart. This had nothing to do with luck. Lei Xingfeng quickly finished washing up and climbed onto the boat. He changed his clothes and said, "Uncle Ling hasn't returned yet." Tiger Love said, "Already sent me a message. He'll be here soon." Lei Xingfeng nodded. He began to consolidate his cultivation while waiting for Mad Eagle to return. At noon the next day, Lei Xingfeng and Tiger Love were eating when Mad Eagle silently landed on the boat. He smiled and said, "Great, there will be food as soon as you come back. It's better to be early than early, huh?" Lei Xingfeng smiled and scooped a big bowl of rice for him. He said, "Let's eat together, Uncle Ling. Did you find a masker's base?" Mad Eagle's face reddened. He said no. Lei Xingfeng said, "Oh, you didn't catch up to that person?" Mad Eagle said, "I caught up and caught him. Unfortunately, he actually committed suicide." He shook his head and said, "A seventh ring expert would rather commit suicide than tell us where their base is. We have to be careful. I don't know how this organization is controlled, but even a seventh ring expert can't resist. I can't pry open his mouth." Lei Xingfeng said, "So, the trail is broken." Mad Eagle nodded. The trail is indeed broken. If we want to find their location, we might have to wait for them to appear again. But I believe they won't appear for the time being. Everyone knew that after this massacre, the maskers would definitely be cautious. Once they appeared again, it meant that they had absolute confidence in winning. That was why Mad Eagle said they had to be careful. Chapter 143. Lei Xingfeng said, "F***CK, what's going on?" He had a headache after provoking such an organization. Tiger Love said, "It's okay, we'll solve it eventually. We'll ask someone when we get back." Lei Xingfeng had so many brothers and sisters, and they all had some intelligence channels. Maybe they knew what organization this was. Mad Eagle said, "I suspect this maskers organization has a secret hidden space like us. If that's the case, the three of us won't be enough. If they have a secret hidden space, it's not strange that they have a ninth ring expert. They might even have stronger experts." Lei Xingfeng rubbed his chin and thought for a moment. He nodded and said, "Yes, I think something's wrong too. Let's go back to Ripple Origin City first and see if they've received any news. We'll decide what to do next." Mad Eagle said, "It's best to go back. You've been out for a while." Lei Xingfeng smiled. "Yes, there are some things I need to deal with." I'll think about it." Mad Eagle said, "Although I didn't find the masker's base, I found a secret they used to track you. It's this thing." As he spoke, he took out a round ball and laughed. "A tracking ball. Hee hee, a very old-fashioned thing. As long as you crush it, the tracking marks on your body will disappear." As he spoke, he squeezed hard. In an instant, the tracking ball turned into fragments and fell through the gaps between his fingers. Lei Xingfeng said, "Hey, let me see it first." Mad Eagle scratched his head. "It's okay, this thing is easy to make. I'll make a few for you when I'm free." Lei Xingfeng said, "Okay, make a few for me in the future. This thing looks amazing." Mad Eagle sized up Lei Xingfeng and said in surprise, Fifth ring? You're crazy. It's only been a few days." Lei Xingfeng giggled. "I was just lucky. What else could he say? This was not the time to show off. Ever since he obtained the secret technique from Old Thunderstorm, He had never had to worry about leveling up. He leveled up very quickly and smoothly without any bottlenecks. This speed of leveling up made Mad Eagle and Tiger Love envious. Even he himself felt that it was too smooth. Mad Eagle said, "There's something I need to remind you of." Lei Xingfeng asked curiously, "Remind me of what?" Tiger Love immediately smiled and said, "Old Eagle, it's not time yet." Lei Xingfeng asked, "What do you mean?" He was suddenly curious. Mad Eagle chuckled. "If you can still advance like this when you reach the 9th ring, then just pretend I didn't say anything. Hee hee." Lei Xingfeng was puzzled. "What do you mean?" Mad Eagle said, "If you advance too quickly, your foundation will be unstable. After you reach the 9th ring, it will be more difficult to advance again." Lei Xingfeng immediately breathed a sigh of relief. He was very careful about this. From the beginning, he had received guidance from Old Thunderstorm and knew the importance of the foundation. His aptitude was too good. After he advanced, he only needed to work a little harder to consolidate his foundation quickly, and it would not affect his advancement. Mad Eagle did not know this. Tiger Love said, "Don't mind what he said. Just be a little more careful." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "I will." He could still feel Mad Eagle's good intentions. He said, "Let's go back to Ripple Origin City. I think they should have news." Mad Eagle squatted down and said, "I'll carry you. Hee hee, when you reach the 6th ring, you can fly." Onduin said with certainty, "I didn't find Aslan. I sent a lot of people to ask around in the major sections. So far, no one named Aslan has been found. There are still 2 people who haven't returned. Well, they should be back in the next few days. Then we'll know. They went to a place far away." Lei Xingfeng was extremely disappointed. He smiled bitterly. Where are we going to find them? Damn it. He regretted not asking clearly. If he knew the name of the sect, it would be easier to find them. Now it was like looking for a needle in a haystack. It was too difficult. Mad Eagle comforted him. "It's okay. When we get home, we'll send people to look for them." He believed that with the help of his sect, they should be able to find them. Lei Xingfeng said, "There are still 2 sects who haven't reported back." And Chun said, "Qianzhengquan and Enwu are the only ones who haven't returned. You have to know, if they want to use the Luan spot, they have to go with the caravan. They can't activate it by themselves. Well, they should be back in a few days." Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Okay, I'll wait for 2 days." And Chun couldn't be faster. 2 8th ring experts appeared in Ripple Origin City, giving him a lot of pressure. The sooner he got the news, the sooner he could send them away. If they stayed here, not only would he be unable to bear it, but Ripple Origin City would also be unable to bear it. The next day, Enwu returned to Ripple Origin City. He also didn't find Aslan. Lei Xingfeng was very depressed. He placed his hopes on Qian Jinkuan. He had a good impression of this guy. Back then, he was the one who suggested Lei Jishan. Moreover, he forgot to pay him. This left a deep impression on him. On the 3rd day, Qian Jinkuan didn't appear. On the 4th day, he didn't appear. After waiting for almost 10 days, Lei Xingfeng was anxious. He found in Chun and asked, "Olden, why isn't Qian Jinkuan back yet? Where'd he go?" Onduin was even more vexed. He had already sent people to look for him, but it had been 5 or 6 days, and there was still no news. He had a faint bad feeling in his heart. He said, "Alas, I don't know. I already sent people 5 days ago, and there is still no news." Lei Xingfeng thought for a moment and said, "Which sect is it? If there's no other way, we'll find them ourselves." And Chun said, 100 United Sect. We need to go through 3 Luan spots to get there." Lei Xingfeng said, "Then, let's go to the 100 United Sect to take a look." Mad Eagle and Tiger Love stood up. At this moment, a disciple rushed into the hall and shouted, "Marshal Uncle Qian has been carried back." And Chun's expression immediately changed. It was normal for Qian Zhengkuan to return, but it was very abnormal for him to be carried back. He said, "What's going on? Where is he?" Very quickly, a few disciples carried a stretcher in. Qian Zhengkuan was lying on the stretcher, his body covered in wounds. And Chun immediately said, "Go and get Elder Yanwei." A disciple ran out to get him. Lei Xingfeng and the other 2 walked over. Mad Eagle frowned and checked for a moment. It seems like his source was injured. I don't know who did it. The injuries are too serious. It's very difficult to recover. And Wu followed him in. He wiped his sweat and said, "It was the 100 United sect." Lei Xingfeng said, "What's the reason?" No sect would attack a perfected person for no reason, especially when there was a perfected person from a large sect behind him. This would cause a sect war. And Wu said, "I don't know the exact reason. When I found him, he only said one sentence and completely fainted. He hasn't woken up since." A disciple came in and reported, "Elder Yin is here." Yanwei came in and went to Qian Junkuan's side. After a brief examination, her face darkened. She said, "I'll try to treat him. The injuries are too serious. It's been dragging on for a while. It's not easy to treat." As she spoke, she quickly pressed her hands on Qian Junkuan's body. A green light suddenly appeared, and the green light entered Qian Junkuan's body bit by bit. After a while, Yanwei withdrew her hands and shook her head with a bitter smile. She flipped her wrist and took out a bottle of medicine. She poured it into Qian Junkuan's mouth and said, "It's not a problem to live, but it's difficult to keep your cultivation. Even if you're cured, it's already not bad if you have the cultivation of a mill-wheel master." Xi and Feng didn't expect Yin Wei to be proficient in medicine, a true master of the green lun attribute. When her palm emitted a green glow, he knew that Qian Junkuan's life had been saved. It was no wonder that a practitioner of the green lun attribute was sought after by all sections. Qian Junkuan groaned and opened his eyes, and Chun touched his long beard and said, "Junkuan, are you feeling better?" Qian Junkuan's face showed a trace of pain. After a while, he said, I'm back," and Chun nodded and said, "Don't worry, you're back in Ripple Origin City. Can you tell me what happened? Who was it that injured you? Was it someone from the 100 United sect?" Qian Junkuan laughed bitterly and said, "That's right, it was someone from the 100 United sect. I don't understand why they try to kill me." Lei Xingfeng said, "Was it because they wanted to know about Aslan?" Qian Junkuan said, "I don't know why, but they said there was no Aslan. Later, I couldn't accept it and went to ask some disciples of the 100 United sect. After I left, I met a second ring perfected person. I don't know why, but he suddenly tried to kill me. I barely managed to escape and was heavily injured. Later, I met in Wu, Lei Xingfeng's side. He immediately understood that Aslan might really be in the 100 United sect. He said, 'When that person tried to kill you, did he say anything?' Qian Junkuan thought for a while and said, 'He scolded me and suddenly attacked. I didn't expect him to attack.' Lei Xingfeng frowned and thought for a while. Even if he wanted to hide Aslan, he didn't have to be in a hurry to kill him. There must be something wrong. Was it just a perfected person who didn't like him? That didn't make sense. Qian Junkuan suddenly felt that something was wrong. He slightly activated his Lunli and suddenly realized that he had lost all his cultivation. Tears flowed down his face. Once he lost his perfected person cultivation, everything would be for naught. And Chun said, "What's wrong?" Qian Junkuan cried and said, "My cultivation is gone." And Chun glanced at Yanwei. Yanwei said, "Don't be discouraged. Your cultivation isn't completely gone. There's still a chance to recover." Qian Junkuan pulled himself together and said, "How can I recover?" Yanwei smiled bitterly and hesitated. Qian Junkuan gritted his teeth and said, "Sister Yin, tell him the truth." And Chun nodded and said, "Tell him the truth." Yanwei said, "If it's like this and I do my best, you might be able to retain your cultivation as a mill-wheel master. Yes, at least you can retain your Wan Luan sure. As for recovering your original cultivation, there are two ways. One is to use treasures, and the other is to find 100 Luan rings and a Luanine ring. With this, even if you fall to mill-wheel master, you can cultivate again." Chapter 144. Qian Jinkuan was in despair. Even if he could get his hands on a treasure, he would need a high-level true master of the green Luan attribute to refine it into medicine. As for Luan rings, there was still hope, but Luanine rings were too hard to find. Xi and Feng spoke, "This. I can solve it. I'll pay for the Luan and Luanine rings. Consider it as compensation for old Qian." He took out a bag and put it beside Qian Jinkuan. Here are 200 Luan rings for Luanine rings. Qian Jinkuan was surprised, and he was overjoyed. Thank you. Thank you. He was almost in despair. He didn't think he could recover. He was so excited that he was sweating. And Dun looked at the bag enviously and nodded. With these, Jinkuan might be able to become a second ring sage. This is a blessing in disguise. Yanwei didn't think Lei Xingfeng could take out so many Luan and Luanine rings. Then, there's no problem. Lei Xingfeng turned around and said, Uncle Ling, Uncle Tiger, let's go to the 100 United Sect. He finally found a clue. How could he give it up? No matter what, he had to go. Mad Eagle said, Okay, no problem. I need to ask him. He came to Qian Jinkuan and said, What's his name? Qian Jinkuan said, He's called Wu Ziki, a second ring sage. I don't know if that's his real name, but he's definitely a master of the 100 United Sect. Mad Eagle said, Wu Ziki? Okay, I got it. Qian Jinkuan hesitated and said, Senior Eagle, if possible, let him taste my pain. He wanted Mad Eagle to avenge him. Mad Eagle laughed. Okay, haha. If I don't like him, I'll let him taste your pain. Lei Xingfeng was filled with anticipation. He hoped that Aslan was at the 100 United Gate. That way, he would be able to find his little sister. He said, Let's go. The earlier they left, the earlier they could reach the 100 United Gate. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love followed Lei Xingfeng out, and Chun and the others escorted the three of them to the Luan station. Seeing the three of them disappear into the Luan station, they finally relaxed. And Wu sighed, They're finally gone. Sigh, that was so King scary. Yanwei said, That Lei Xingfeng. I don't know what his background is, but I know that he is definitely not someone our Ripple origin city can afford to offend. Fortunately, he left. I hope they won't come again. And Chun nodded and said, That's right. This kind of expert is too much of a threat to us. The sooner we leave, the better. In that case, Zheng Kuan can be considered to have done a meritorious deed. And Wu said, Those Luan rings and Luanine rings are all for him. And Chun said, What? Are you moved? And Wu laughed. Aren't you moved? Hee, these are Luanine rings. Luan rings are fine, but Luanine rings are too rare. I don't know where they got so many. Look at that little guy. He didn't feel any pain when he gave them away. Yanwei said, This only means that they don't lack Luanine rings. And Chun said, Let's go back and discuss. Maybe we can exchange some Luanine rings with Zhengkuan. Lei Xingfeng and the others arrived at the 100 United Sect. After asking around, they found the location. Mad Eagle said, Should we kill our way in or visit their higher-ups? Lei Xingfeng said, Why do we kill our way in? I'm here to find someone not to kill. His little sister might be in the 100 United Sect. He didn't want to randomly kill people. Whether it was Mad Eagle or Tiger Love, once they made a move, the repercussions would be too wide. According to his little sister's age, she couldn't cultivate yet. Once they fought, who knows if she would be affected. So before he got any definite information, he definitely didn't want to make a move. Mad Eagle laughed. Okay, let's go in and find someone. Tiger Love said, I hope the person you're looking for is here. Lei Xingfeng said, Those people in front should be cultivators. Uncle Ling, go ask them. The 100 United Sect was also a residential area. It was divided into normal people and cultivators. The sects here were roughly the same. The difference in status between cultivators and normal people was that they lived in different areas. Mad Eagle stopped a few cultivators on the street and said, Everyone, ask around. He released a bit of his aura to suppress them. Of course, he couldn't release all of his aura. Otherwise, these people would probably be lying on the ground. These cultivators were obviously low-level cultivators. The highest level was Wan Luan Shi. Intimidated by Mad Eagle's aura, their attitude became much better. A cultivator said, Senior, what can I do for you? This was Mad Eagle's advantage. When talking to cultivators, the other party wouldn't dare to act rashly if your level was high. Mad Eagle said, I'm here to find an old friend called Aslan. He's a real person. That person thought for a moment and said, I've never heard of a real person called Aslan. Hmm. He turned and asked his companions, have you heard of a senior called Aslan? Mad Eagle added, she's a woman. Oh, she's very old. Those cultivators shook their heads, indicating that they didn't know of such a person. Mad Eagle returned and said, no, they don't know. Lei Xingfeng's eyes flashed with disappointment. He said, then let's go directly to the 100 United Sect and find their higher-ups. Tiger Love smiled and said, they might not be willing to see us. He was well aware of the arrogance of these large sections. Without some strength, there was no need for them to visit. The other party would not bother with a few cultivators who came to visit unless they were high-level cultivators. Lei Xingfeng said, let's go take a look first. If they don't want to see us, I don't mind showing my strength. This wasn't the time to be conservative. When it was time to show off his strength, he had to show it. Otherwise, those sects wouldn't bother with him. Mad Eagle smiled and said, fight them? I like that. Lei Xingfeng said, I'm not fighting them. I'm just showing off my strength. I don't want to fight for now. He had a lot to worry about and was a little restrained. Mad Eagle said, all right, I'll go. The three of them came to the inner sect entrance of the 100 United Sect. Mad Eagle stepped forward and said, I want to see your leader. Well, if he's not here, then the Great Elder is fine too. The inner sect disciples guarding the door were all stunned. This was the first time they had seen such a cultivator. However, they didn't dare to offend him. One of them said, do you have a visiting card? Which sect are you from? Mad Eagle smiled and said, we don't have a visiting card. We're not from any sect. We just have something to discuss with your leader. Lei Xingfeng knew that something was wrong. Mad Eagle still couldn't help but play dumb. No matter what sect, if you spoke like that at the entrance, no one would care. It was too rude. As expected, the inner sect disciple guarding the door sneered and said, you don't have a visiting card? All right, then do you know the higher-ups in our sect? Mad Eagle said straightforwardly, nope. Lei Xingfeng thought for a bit and didn't go forward. He wanted to see how Mad Eagle would handle this. He knew that with Mad Eagle's words, the other party wouldn't care at all. The inner sect disciples guarding the door were also very pitiful. Their leader was a one-ring true master. The others were all mill-wheel masters, Wan Luan and Thousand Lun masters. They couldn't see through Mad Eagle's cultivation. They knew that these three were cultivators, but they definitely didn't know that they were all high-level true masters. The one talking to Mad Eagle was a Millwall master. He sneered and said, you don't have anything, you can't go in. You guys can leave. According to their rules, even if a true master came, they had to block him. The only thing he didn't expect was that the other party was not only a true master, but also a high-level true master. High-level true masters were VIPs in any sect. They definitely couldn't be offended. Mad Eagle said, I won't go. I want to go in. Lei Xingfeng was dumbfounded. He didn't expect Mad Eagle to do this. Tiger Love laughed. This guy has nothing better to do. Why would he bully these little guys for no reason? Looking for trouble. The inner sect disciple was angered by Mad Eagle. He said, Sai, it's no use causing trouble. Go. The 100 United Sect isn't something you can mess with. Mad Eagle said, who said I can't mess with them? I'm messing with them. Let me in. He was all talk and no action, just shouting nonstop. Lei Xingfeng said, Uncle Tiger, forget it. You go and tell Uncle Ing to stop playing. Tiger Love went up and said, Old Eagle, stop messing around. Mad Eagle laughed and said, it's rare for me to be happy. All right, then I won't mess around. Little guy, this is my visitation card. He raised his hand and threw out a metal plate. It was a special metal plate with his information on it. If not for Lei Xingfeng's importance to the 100 United Sect, he wouldn't have taken out his visitation card. The inner sect disciple took the metal plate and muttered, you have a visitation card, but you didn't take it out earlier. Seriously? He lowered his head to look. The other disciples looked curiously at Mad Eagle and the other two. They didn't know what these three guys were doing here, but they could tell that they weren't here to cause trouble. The inner sect disciple looked down, then raised his head again and looked at Mad Eagle in disbelief. His lips were trembling. After a while, he said in a trembling voice, You, I. He really couldn't speak. A disciple at the side laughed. What's wrong with you? Can't you speak? He took the metal visitation card and glanced at it. He began to tremble as well. The card said, Heart-E Master, Mad Eagle. There was no sect, only 6 words. The disciple trembled. Heart-E Master. Eight rings. Oh my God. As an enlightened master on duty, his ears were good. He sat in the small room and heard everything clearly. He jumped out of the small room as if his but was on fire and said, What? What 8 rings? The disciple was still pointing at Feng, mumbling something incomprehensible. The enlightened master slapped the back of his head and scolded, Idiot, speak clearly. The enlightened master's gaze was attracted to the metal visitation card in the disciple's hand and snatched it. Heart-E Master. He couldn't take these 4 words. Luckily, he was an enlightened master. Even though he only had 1 ring, he was still an enlightened master. He forced himself to calm down and said, Senior Mad. No, Senior Eagle. Hello, I'm an elder of the 100 United Sect, Ho Shao, a 1-ring enlightened master. Chapter 145. Mad Eagle said, The door is hard to enter, and the face is ugly. The 100 United Sect is really King arrogant. Ho Zhao's expression changed. He didn't know what to say. No matter which sect it was, they would be very wary of strangers or unfamiliar cultivators. They would never treat unfamiliar cultivators so warmly. The door must be hard to enter, and the face must be ugly. But when these words came out of Mad Eagle's mouth, they sounded a little threatening. With a smile on his face, Ho Shao said sullenly, Junior didn't know Senior was coming. Please forgive Junior's rudeness. As he apologized, he kicked the disciple, telling him to go back and report, who knew that the disciple wasn't smart enough. He looked at Ho Shao dumbly, not understanding why the elder kicked him. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. He reminded him, Your elder told you to go report, idiot. Tiger Love laughed. The disciple suddenly understood. He turned around and ran into the intersect. Lei Xingfeng laughed and scolded him for being an idiot. Ho Shao also couldn't help but scold him. He was usually very smart. Why was he acting like an idiot now? Mad Eagle asked, Do you have a perfected person called Aslan here? Ho Shao was stunned and said, Aslan. Lei Xingfeng looked at him expectantly and said, Yes, Aslan. Do you know him? Ho Shao said, No, I don't know him. Lei Xingfeng was disappointed, but he didn't give up. He said, Okay then, Wu Ziki. You should know him, right? Ho Shao thought for a moment and said, We don't have Wu Ziki in the 100 United Sect. Is he also a perfected person? Mad Eagle said in surprise, You don't know him? He started to wonder. Qian Jingquan was very sure that the person who injured him was a perfected person from the 100 United Sect. When Ho Shao saw Mad Eagle's face darken, he couldn't help but panic. I don't know all of the enlightened masters of the 100 United Sect. There are many enlightened masters in our sect. Mad Eagle and Lei Xingfeng were relieved. It was not surprising that a large sect did not know all the real people. Ho Shao asked, May I ask, these two senior surnames? Lei Xingfeng smiled. True Treasure Luan Yin Master, Lei Xingfeng. Also, Uncle Ing and Uncle Tiger are both true Hardy masters. He introduced. Ho Shao felt his scalp go numb. Of the 3 sages, 2 were 8th ring sages, and the last one looked like he hadn't even reached adulthood, but he actually had a 5th ring sage. Even in the 100 United Sect, a 5th ring sage was a member of the top circle. They weren't people that people like him could get close to. He was only the lowest existence in the sage's circle. Meeting these 3 powerful people, Ho Shao didn't dare to be negligent. He personally walked in with them. Someone had already gone in to report. The news of a top-level enlightened master at the door immediately spread to the upper echelons of the 100 United Sect. A few elders rushed out to welcome them. As long as they didn't have evil intentions, any high-level cultivator would be welcomed by the sect. More and more enlightened masters arrived. Lei Xingfeng and the other 2 had already entered the 100 United Sect's guest hall. because Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were both true heart masters with 8th ring sage bodies. The 100 United sect didn't dare to be negligent. They had the secluded old ancestor come out to greet them. He was also an 8th ring sage called Ji Baicheng. He didn't manage the 100 United sect for a long time and was considered the sect's secret weapon. If it wasn't for the fact that the people coming were too terrifying, they wouldn't have asked him to come out. Ji Baicheng was simply too old. Because he couldn't continue to advance, he basically relied on recuperation to prolong his life. Lei Xingfeng only needed a glance to know that this old man was about to dry up. His face was filled with age spots and deep wrinkles. His body was stooped, and he held a walking stick in his hand. Even his words were slurred. Sitting there, he only said a few words and was already panting heavily. This kind of 8th ring sage, don't mention Mad Eagle and Tiger Love, even a 7th ring sage would be able to grind him to death. Of course, no matter how much of a genius Lei Xingfeng was, with his strength, he still couldn't beat this kind of expert. The difference in strength was too great. The other expert of the 100 United sect was the great elder of the inner sect, a true master with 6th ring sage body, Hou Jingguang. In the 100 United sect, the Hoshi clan was an important part of it, especially because of Hou Jingguang's existence. He was extremely strong in the 100 United sect. Hou Jingguang was a very shrewd and valiant person. His observation was very detailed. After interacting for a short while, he could tell that Lei Xingfeng was the leader of the three. Especially when they sat down, Lei Xingfeng sat in the main seat, while the two 8th ring sages were only willing to sit behind him. This meant that Lei Xingfeng was the one in charge, causing him to mutter in his heart. In this world, if a person with low strength was the leader, then the only explanation was that this person's position was extremely high, and there was an even stronger expert behind him. Hou Jingguang couldn't help but be careful. From his words, he didn't dare to treat Lei Xingfeng as a junior, even if he was a level lower than him, even if he was still young. Lei Xingfeng asked, "Old Ho, this time I came to the 100 United sect because I have something to trouble you with." Hou Jingguang felt dizzy hearing this. "Old Ho?" This form of address was very refreshing. He smiled and said, "If there's anything you need, little brother, please tell us. If we can help, our 100 United sect will definitely not decline." What he meant was that if they couldn't help, there was nothing they could do. Lei Xingfeng nodded, and "I'm here to find someone." Hou Jingguang asked, "Who? What's her name?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Aslan, a great Luan master with 4th ring sage body. She's an older woman with green Luan attribute, proficient in medicine." Hou Jingguang's eyes revealed a trace of shock. "Aslan? South Rio Mountains Aslan?" Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but be overjoyed. "South Rio Mountain? Where is it?" Hou Jingguang said, "South Rio Mountain? It's not a sect. It's a place where practitioners gather. There are a few factions there that are constantly fighting. And I know Aslan, but I don't know if she's the one you're looking for. She has 4th ring sage body and is a famous medicine master. She belongs to the neutral Xiao Yao faction in South Rio Mountain. She has a group of followers and a group of powerful friends." Lei Xingfeng's face was full of smiles. He finally found Aslan. He didn't expect that she wasn't from a sect, but a free medicine master. He asked, "How do we get there?" Hou Jingguang said, "South Rio Mountain isn't far. I went there last year to visit a friend. Taking a boat, 10 days. Walking, 15 to 20 days. If we go through the ancient Lun passage, it's only 3 days." Lei Xingfeng was overjoyed. So close. Hou Jingguang nodded. "Yes, very close. But South Rio Mountain is very chaotic. Of course, it's not a problem for you guys. With their strength, they can do whatever they want in South Rio Mountain. No one would dare to mess with them." Ji Baicheng said vaguely, "I heard South Rio Mountain isn't very peaceful recently. There are a few groups of people. And killing here and there. If little brother wants to find someone, it's better go quickly, Kikik." He covered his mouth and coughed a few times, then said hoarsely, "And I'm getting old. My body's a bit unwell. I won't accompany you guys." Lei Xingfeng and the other two stood up. they still respected Ji Baiqing. Even if he was old and about to die, an eighth ring sage's dignity was not to be disrespected. Ji Baiqing nodded, and two disciples of the 100 United sect came forward to help him up. Ji Baiqing walked to the door, then turned back and said, I have an old friend in South Rio Mountain. You guys can ask him for help. And I'll bring you guys to Aslan. He's a local. He should know more about the situation. Originally, Hou Jingguang wanted to accompany Lei Xingfeng and the other two, but Ji Baiqing's words made him drop the idea. He seemed to have sensed Ji Baiqing's intentions. Lei Xingfeng said, Thank you, old man. He could call Hou Jingguang Old Ho, but he definitely couldn't call Ji Baiqing Old Ji. That would be too rude. Ji Baiqing smiled slightly and left with the help of the two disciples. After a while, a disciple came over and said, Senior, the old ancestor left an address and name for you. Lei Xingfeng said, And Bai Shiji? That's a very special name. Hou Jingguang said, Bai Shiji, I know him too. He's a third ring sage, very generous and hospitable, and has many friends. He also knows Aslan, and the two of them have a good relationship. Hee. If you look for him, you should be able to meet Aslan soon. Lei Xingfeng was in a very good mood. He had finally found Aslan, which meant that he had found his little sister. If he could find his little sister and then find the old man Thunderstorm, then their family would be reunited. As for his parents in this life, he didn't even think about looking for them. In this life, he valued Yi and his little sister the most. It was difficult for others to leave a mark in his heart. Mad Eagle whispered, It's rare to see a Feng so happy. Tiger Love nodded. Yes, I wonder who this Aslan is to be able to make a Feng so happy. Lei Xingfeng turned his head and laughed. Hee, it's not because I'm happy to see Aslan, but because once I see Aslan, I can find my little sister. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were stunned. The two of them didn't know that Lei Xingfeng had a little sister. The two of them nodded, understanding why Lei Xingfeng was so happy. Lei Xingfeng didn't want to stay in the 100 United sect any longer. He stood up and said, Let's go now. Hou Jingguang immediately heaved a sigh of relief. These three people were a great threat to him. Even if Lei Xingfeng's level was lower than his, 2 8th ring experts gave him a lot of pressure. If these three people were to turn hostile, he didn't know who in the 100 United sect could stop them. Hou Jingguang said, Okay, I'll send someone to bring you to the Luan Point. Lei Xingfeng and the other two walked out of the guest hall. Hou Jingguang said, Hou Xiao, bring these 3 seniors to the Luan Point. Yes, the Luan Point to Nanrio Mountain. Chapter 146. Hou Xiao, who had been standing outside the door, replied, Yes, I'll take you to the Luan spot. Lei Xingfeng said goodbye. Tiger Love squatted down and said, A Feng, come up. I'll carry you there. Mad Eagle grabbed Hou Xiao and the two flew into the air. Tiger Love carried Lei Xingfeng and flew up. Mad Eagle said, Show me the way. Hou Xiao looked around and said, Fly that way. It was his first time being carried in the air. He was quite shocked, but he was still calm and pointed in the right direction. In a moment, the 4 landed on the Luan spot. There were disciples of the 100 United sect guarding it. With Hou Xiao there, I didn't dare to ask. Mad Eagle opened the Luan spot, and the 3 entered the ancient Luan passage. Bai Shiji lived on the west side of Mount Nanrio. Mount Nanrio was not a mountain, but a body of water. The reason why it was called Mount Nanrio was because in ancient times, it was indeed a rocky mountain. It was said that after a great battle, the entire mountain was shattered by a mighty figure, forming countless piles of rubble. Later, the water flooded the area, and the rocks that emerged from the water formed countless small islands. These islands were innumerable. The largest was only a kilometer in radius, and the smallest was only the tip of a rock above the water. The islands here, as long as the area was slightly larger, there would be people living there. Most of them were cultivators. Tiger Love carried Lei Xingfeng, and Mad Eagle led the way. Just like that, the 3 of them flew in the air. Below them were small islands scattered all over the place. Occasionally, Cultivators would see the three in the air and would be scared to death. Those who could fly were all sixth ring sages and above. Their strength was absolutely terrifying. The number of sages in Nanrio Mountain was limited, at most a few thousand. Most of them were low-level sages, and there were no more than a few hundred sixth-ring sages. At most, there were a dozen or so sixth-ring sages, and they were all overlords. This body of water covered an area of a few thousand kilometers. It was rare for a dozen sixth-ring sages to appear here. Those who live here were mostly low-level cultivators. Wanluan Shur, mill wheel masters, and low-level sages were the main ones, especially those with first-ring sages. A first-ring enlightened master was fishing on his own island. When he caught a 2-foot-long fish and raised his fishing rod, he suddenly saw two people hovering not far above his head. One of them was carrying a person on his back. He was so scared that his hand trembled. He threw away the fishing rod in his hand and jumped back, clutching his chest. His heart was beating like a drum. After a while, he finally calmed down. Then, he heard the person in the air say, "Hey, little guy." The guy hurriedly said, "Yes, senior." He didn't dare to offend such an expert. Mad Eagle smiled. "By Shurji, do you know him?" The guy said, "Senior, By Shurji lives on that island." He pointed to an island on the side. The three looked in the direction he pointed. It was a rather large island, about 1 acre in size. There was a thatched cottage on it and a small forest. Mad Eagle nodded. "Little guy, thanks." The three of them flew towards the island. The guy rubbed his chest. After a while, he said, "Damn, that scared me to death." "Ah, so scary. 2 sages who can fly. I don't know what's going to happen. Ah, it's getting more and more chaotic. I can't live here anymore. Oh, I'll find a chance to leave." His heart was in a mess. Before he could return to his house, the three of them had returned and landed on his island. His expression immediately changed. According to the rules of this place, if one entered the island without the permission of the owner of the island, it was equivalent to declaring war with the owner of the island and seizing the ownership of the island. The guy smiled bitterly and said, "Please wait a moment. I'll prepare a boat. I'll leave. I'll let you have this island." Lei Xingfeng slid down from Tiger Love and said, "What nonsense are you talking about? We're not here to take over your island. Hey, little guy, we want to ask you something." The first ring sage was middle-aged. When he heard Lei Xingfeng call him little guy, he almost fell down. He thought, "You're the little guy." He said, "Senior, please go ahead." In fact, Lei Xingfeng didn't mean it. He just followed the way Mad Eagle called him little guy. He said, "By Shurji isn't here. Do you know when he'll come back?" The guy smiled bitterly and said, "About 10 days ago, a group of people came looking for him. I think he had something to do and went out. As for when, I don't know." Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "Well, since he's not here, do you know the other person?" The guy said, "Who?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Aslan. Do you know her?" The guy nodded and said, "Aslan. Of course I know her. There are very few people here who don't know her." Lei Xingfeng smiled and said, "That's great. Take us to her." He was surprised. He didn't expect Aslan to be so famous here. The guy said, "Okay, I'll prepare a boat and row it over." Mad Eagle smiled and said, "No need to go through so much trouble. I'll fly you over. Right, little guy, what's your name?" The guy said, "Halai, first ring sage." Mad Eagle said, "My surname is Eagle." "Okay, let's go." With that, he grabbed Halai's arm and flew into the air. Tiger Love carried Lei Xingfeng on his back and flew into the air as well. Halai led the way. With Mad Eagle and Tiger Love carrying them, their speed was extremely fast. In less than half an hour, the 4 of them arrived at a very large island. While still in the air, Lei Xingfeng saw broken walls and some broken corpses. At that moment, he felt his heart stop beating. He said, "Quick, Uncle Tiger, land." His voice suddenly became hoarse and dry. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love's faces also changed. These were the traces of a battle. After landing, Lei Xingfeng jumped off Tiger Love's back and ran towards the house not far away. Every time he saw a corpse, Lei Xingfeng paused. As long as it wasn't Aslan's corpse or his sister's corpse, he felt a little better. Along the way, there were at least 10 corpses. The island was a mess. Lei Xingfeng's heart sank to the bottom. He only felt a bone-chilling coldness. He didn't say a word, but his face was already pale. Standing on the ruins of a collapsed wall, Lei Xingfeng's anger gradually dyed his eyes red. Mad Eagle said, "Phone, calm down. Let's search, see if there are any traces of Aslan and your sister, left behind." He almost said the corpses of Aslan and his sister. Luckily, he reacted quickly and knew that he couldn't provoke them. He cleverly changed his words. Lei Xingfeng nodded. He said, "Everyone help search." His voice was completely hoarse. The four of them quickly searched around. Lei Xingfeng didn't find any traces of his sister. This meant that his sister was probably still alive. At least, they didn't find her corpse. This gave Lei Xingfeng some hope. Of course, the four of them didn't find Aslan's corpse either. Lei Xingfeng said, "Halai, is there anyone we know around here?" Halai knew what Lei Xingfeng needed. He nodded. "No problem. I'll take you to someone. He lives nearby." Mad Eagle and Tiger Love each took 2 people. Soon, they arrived at a small island. Once on the island, Halai whispered, "Senior, the person on this island is very powerful. He's a 6th ring sage. His name is Jean Daliao. He's a very arrogant person. He doesn't think highly of me." Lei Xingfeng said, "Uncle Ling, you handle this." He was in a very bad mood. He didn't want to deal with the other party. He needed information. He needed to know that his sister was safe. Therefore, it didn't matter what method he used. Mad Eagle nodded. "Leave it to me." He knew that Lei Xingfeng was in a very bad mood. Even if he wanted to comfort him, he couldn't. Tiger Love said, "I'll do it." He quickly walked forward. Soon, he was in front of the house. He shouted, "Is anyone there? Is anyone there?" A tall, thin man in a golden robe walked out of the house. He said impatiently, "Who is it? Who told you to come here?" He glared at the 4 of them. It was obvious that he knew Halai. He said, "Halai, what the F *CK are you doing here? Do you want to die?" Halai's face turned pale. He said, I'm here with someone." "Oh." Tiger Love waved his hand and asked him to leave. He went forward and said, "Are you Jean Daliao?" Jean Daliao stared at Tiger Love and said impatiently, "And who are you?" Tiger Love said, "My name is Tiger Love." "Yes, I have something to ask." He said it politely. Jean Daliao frowned and said, "What is it?" He sounded a little impatient. Lei Xingfeng's heart was on fire. Fortunately, he could still endure it. Tiger Love said, "Aslan's house was destroyed. Can you tell me who did it?" Jean Daliao rolled his eyes and said, "What does it have to do with me? I don't know." Lei Xingfeng was furious. He said, "How can you not know? This is something that happens right next to your house." Jean Daliao said, "Near my house? Should I know? Ridiculous. I don't know anything. You can leave now." He turned and walked back. As he walked, he said, "Where did this person come from? Maybe I've been too easy to talk to recently. Just anyone dares to come." Halai hurriedly said, Senior Jean." Jean Daliao suddenly turned and shouted at Halai, "Get lost. Damn it. If you dare to talk, I'll kill you." Halai was so scared that he took a step back. He didn't dare to speak. Lei Xingfeng was really angry. He shouted, "Stop." Jean Daliao slowly turned and said, "You probably don't know who I am. Anyone who dares to speak to me like that has their bones turned to ashes. Get lost while I'm in a good mood." Lei Xingfeng was originally suppressing his anger. After all, he was here to get information, not to vent his anger. However, after hearing Jean Daliao's words, his eyes turned red. He sighed and said, "I'm sorry. You're in a good mood, but I'm not." "Fine, you're unlucky. Uncle Ling, beat him up." He wasn't stupid enough to do it himself. Chapter 147. In fact, both Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were furious. The stronger the person, the more unwilling they were to swallow their anger. The 2 were worried about Lei Xingfeng. Seeing that the little guy was about to explode, of course they wouldn't let it go. Moreover, Lei Xingfeng ordered them to beat him up. Immediately, Mad Eagle said, "Okay, I'll do it." Jean Daliao sneered and said, "Since you want to die, don't blame me." No cultivator dared to be so disrespectful to him. He was furious. Lei Xingfeng was even more furious. He said, "Uncling." Boom. Although Jin Daliao was ready to attack, he didn't expect his opponent to be an 8th ring sage. The difference between the two was too big. Therefore, even if he was prepared, he couldn't attack in time. He was kicked away by Mad Eagle. Mad Eagle roared, "You dare to tell my little master to get lost? F*CKU. This kick sent him to the ground. Then, Feng flew forward and kicked out again. Jin Daliao screamed and suddenly jumped into the air. Who knew that someone was already waiting for him? He heard someone shout, "Get down." Boom. Jin Daliao fell down. He didn't expect there to be an 8th ring sage in the sky. He couldn't block it and was directly stepped on. Tiger Love's body flashed and returned to Lei Xingfeng's side. Lai's mouth was wide open. He didn't even know that he was drooling. He was really scared. Jin Daliao was about to go crazy. He couldn't escape by flying. As long as he flew, Tiger Love would suddenly appear above him and step on him. Even if his defense was metal, this kind of violent attack was too much for him to handle. He was beaten up by the two. Actually, Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were bullying him. They were both 8th ring sages. If any one of them came out, they would definitely win. But when the two of them attacked, Jin Daliao was in a miserable state. Luckily, Lei Xingfeng ordered them to beat him up and not kill him. Jin Daliao's life was saved. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. He wouldn't have to wait for Tiger Love to attack. Lai knew what level Jin Daliao was at. He was a true E-master with 6 true ring bodies, yet he was beaten like a dead dog. He couldn't imagine what level these two were at. It was too F*King scary. Lei Xingfeng's mood improved a lot. He couldn't help but smile bitterly, wondering if his heart was too dark. Jin Daliao was like a rubber ball, being kicked around by Mad Eagle and Tiger Love. He finally understood that they didn't plan on killing him. So he gave up on resisting and activated all his defenses. Even if he was beaten to the bone, the damage was limited. He kept shouting, "Stop, stop. I lost. I surrender." Mad Eagle and Tiger Love didn't listen to him. Even if he surrendered, it was useless. They would only stop if Lei Xingfeng said so. This beating lasted for a full 5 minutes. Lei Xingfeng finally said indifferently, "All right, drag him over here." Mad Eagle grabbed Jin Daliao's hair and dragged him in front of Lei Xingfeng, saying, "I don't care if you're Big Bird Jin or Little Bird Jin. If you dare be rude to my little master again, I'll rip your bird apart." Lei Xingfeng almost laughed out loud. This Mad Eagle wasn't polite at all. Jin Daliao didn't dare to make a sound. This time, he was beaten into submission. He didn't dare to have any foolish thoughts. He lay on the ground, panting heavily. Jin Daliao wasn't the only one who was trembling. Even Lai was trembling. He wasn't trembling because he was being beaten. He was trembling in fear, especially when he saw a 6-ring master being beaten like a stray dog. He was scared to death. Lei Xingfeng said, "Speak. What happened on Aslan?" Jin Daliao sat up. His head and face were covered in blood. Although he looked scary, his injuries weren't serious. A towel appeared in his hand, and he wiped his face. Mad Eagle was about to kick him, but Lei Xingfeng stopped him. Mad Eagle said, "You want to die again, right?" Jin Daliao threw the towel angrily and said, "Do you feel a sense of accomplishment from beating me up? Great. A top expert pretending to be a servant. You think it's fun?" Mad Eagle stepped forward and kicked him, saying, "Although I'm not a servant, I'm a guard. Why would I pretend to be your mother?" Jin Daliao's heart went cold. He could already see that Lei Xingfeng was about 5 true ring sages. These two guys were much stronger than him, and they were actually guards? Who was this guy? His heart was in a mess, but he didn't dare to continue. He said, "Aslan's home was indeed destroyed." Lei Xingfeng said, "Who destroyed it? Also, Aslan, has she been captured?" Jin Daliao said, "She escaped. She had a group of friends who came to rescue her. They took her away. I don't know about the rest. I only know that Aslan's life is not in danger." Lei Xingfeng said, "Is there a little girl around Aslan? About 7 or 8 years old?" Jin Daliao said, "How would I know? Aslan doesn't seem to have any disciples." Let me think." Lei Xingfeng's heart sank. He didn't give up and said, "Do you go to Aslan's place often?" Jean Daliao said, "No, I don't go there often. But she comes to visit me often." With the status, of course, he wouldn't go to Aslan often. Lei Xingfeng's eyes flashed fiercely. He said, "Who burned down Aslan's house and killed her subordinates?" Jean Daliao didn't want to say it, but he suddenly saw Lei Xingfeng's eyes. His heart went cold. He immediately understood that if he said that he didn't know, this guy might really kill him. Although he didn't know what relationship he had with Aslan, it wasn't his problem. Why should he provoke such a scary guy? He said, "It's the owner of Tilong Island. He brought his subordinates to capture someone." Lei Xingfeng immediately turned around and looked at Halai. Halai was frightened. Lei Xingfeng said, "Is the owner of Tilong Island." Halai was so scared that he almost peed his pants. The owner of Tilong Island was much scarier than Jean Daliao. This was because Jean Daliao was a loner. He had always been alone. Although he was strong, he wasn't scary. As long as you didn't provoke him, you wouldn't be in any danger. However, the owner of Tilong Island was different. This guy's strength might be similar to Jean Daliao, but he had a lot of subordinates and friends. Many of them were 4th, 6th, and 6th ringmasters. Provoking him was equivalent to provoking a group of powerful people. In Nanrio Mountain, there was no one who wasn't afraid of him. Halai stuttered and explained, "I don't understand either. The owner of Tilong Island and Aslan should be friends. Why would they fight? They even killed someone." Lei Xingfeng turned to Jean Daliao and said, "What's going on?" Jean Daliao wanted to strangle Halai. He said, "What nonsense are you talking about? How come I didn't know that Aslan and the owner of Tilong Island are friends? They have never been friendly when they meet." Halai didn't dare to speak anymore. Lei Xingfeng said, "Why aren't they friends?" Jean Daliao couldn't help but explain, "The owner of Tilong Island has a lot of friends. People are often injured, and the owner of Tilong Island likes to be a busybody. He would often trouble Aslan. As time passed, Aslan wasn't happy, and their relationship became worse." Lei Xingfeng said, "Is the owner of Tilong Island not going to pay him?" Jean Daliao nodded and said, "If not, why would they become enemies?" He thought to himself, "This guy's reaction is fast." Lei Xingfeng said, "This shouldn't be the reason why he attacked Aslan. All right, where does the owner of Tilong Island live?" He had already made up his mind to look for the owner of Tilong Island. At the very least, he wanted to know if Aslan was captured and if his sister was implicated. Thinking about being implicated, he couldn't help but sigh. Everything went wrong this time. He went to find someone to understand the situation, and he offended the masked man. Now that he was here, he had to offend the owner of Tilong Island. What was going on? Jean Daliao said, "The owner of Tilong Island lives tens of miles away. If we fly there, it will only take a few minutes." Lei Xingfeng stared at him. Instantly, Jean Daliao broke out in cold sweat. After a while, he said, Don't kill me." Jean Daliao was completely scared. If Lei Xingfeng wanted to kill him, he wouldn't be able to do anything. He wouldn't even have the slightest hope of escaping, let alone resisting. Lei Xingfeng said, "I don't intend to kill you. However, I want to remind you to watch your mouth, especially before we reach the owner of Tilong Island. Also, if you want to take revenge, I don't care. You won't be so lucky this time. Do you understand?" Jean Daliao was sweating profusely and said, Yes, I understand." Lei Xingfeng continued, "Once it is confirmed that it is indeed a fight between the owner of Tilong Island and Aslan, then there won't be any problems. If it isn't the owner of Tilong Island, I can find you even if you run to the ends of the earth." Jean Daliao nodded and said, "Don't worry, I am speaking the truth." He had already made up his mind to leave this place immediately after Lei Xingfeng left. He couldn't stay here anymore. With his ability, he could live comfortably anywhere. Lei Xingfeng then stood up and said, "Halai, lead the way. Uncle Tiger, let's go." If they were to fly, the owner of Tilong Island's residence was indeed very close. Jean Daliao wasn't lying about this. The four of them arrived at an island very quickly. This was a huge island that occupied about 100 acres. There were all sorts of buildings on it. Halai explained, "There are many practitioners here that depend on the owner of Tilong Island. This island is called Tilong Island. is the largest island in the vicinity. Lei Xingfeng said, "How many practitioners are there on this island? How strong are they?" Halai said, "I'm not too sure about the exact number. However, they aren't considered strong. They are mainly mill-wheel masters and low-level true masters. True high-level true masters won't stay on the island. However, there are many high-level true masters living on the nearby islands." Mad Eagle said, "How many true ring bodies do you define as a high-level true master?" Chapter 148. Halai smiled bitterly. 1 ring is considered low level, 2 ring is more powerful, 3 ring is mid-level, and high level is 4 ring or above. Actually, no more than 6 ring. As far as I know, I've never heard of an 8-ring perfected master in Nanrio Mountain. I think I heard that a 7-ring perfected master came and then left. Mad Eagle said, then what about 8-ring or 9-ring perfected masters?" Halai said, "Top tier. We're considered top-tier perfected masters here." Mad Eagle smiled. "That's more like it." Tiger Love said, "Old Eagle, don't be so smug. We're nothing. You know how weak we are. We're nothing." Mad Eagle's face turned bitter. "All right, it's rare for me to be happy, and you're going to hit me. We're both hopeless people." Halai was stunned. He thought, if you're all hopeless people, then what's the point of us living? We should just die. This sarcastic remark is infuriating. The 4 of them attracted a lot of attention when they landed on the island. Ordinary people might not know who they were, but all the cultivators on the island knew that 2 of them were at least 6-ring masters. No one dared to approach them and strike up a conversation. Xian Feng spoke. "Halai, you can go back." As he spoke, he flipped his wrist and took out a few Lin rings, handing them to him. "Take these." Halai was surprised. Lin rings? He knew about them, but it was his first time seeing one. He didn't believe it. Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Yes, these are Lin rings. Take it as a thank you. You should leave Nanrio Mountain. It's not good for you to stay here." Halai said, Thank you. I understand. I'll leave immediately." He turned and ran to the dock. He immediately hired a boat and left. Mad Eagle said, "You scared him." Lei Xingfeng shook his head. "He was scared long ago. With his strength, staying here is suicide." Tiger Love nodded. "That's right. Old Eagle, fly up and call out." Lei Xingfeng chuckled. Her words were too ambiguous. Mad Eagle glared at Tiger Love and said, "You shout." Tiger Love also realized that he had said something wrong. He couldn't help but laugh and say, Okay, I'll call, okay? He leaped into the sky and shouted, "Island Lord of Tilong, come out." With this loud roar, the island was instantly thrown into chaos. 2 figures flew up from the center of the island and quickly flew over. Tiger Love hovered in the air, waiting for the 2 to come closer. They were 2 6th-ring true masters. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love could see this clearly. When the 2 came closer, Tiger Love gestured and he landed. The 2 true masters also landed. Lei Xingfeng said, "Who is Tilong Island Lord?" At this moment, many practitioners were hiding and watching from afar. Of the 2 that landed, the younger one said, "I am Tilong Island Lord. I'm Heizei, a 6th-ring truing master." He wore a luxurious silk robe, his long hair draped over his shoulders. He had a pair of snake-like eyes. Even when he smiled, the coldness could still send chills down people's spines. The person beside Heizei said, "Sunbai, true Een master." He had a dead face. The so-called dead face was a face that was completely stiff and expressionless. His appearance was even uglier than Heizei's. Heizei's eyes were terrifying, but his entire face gave people nightmares. Lei Xingfeng couldn't be bothered to talk to him. He stepped forward and said, "I'm looking for Aslan." He didn't even bother to say anything. There would be a conflict anyways. Also, he knew that as long as he mentioned Aslan, the other party wouldn't be nice to him. They might even start fighting. As expected, the moment he said Aslan, the other party's expression changed. Heizei said, "Who are you?" Lei Xingfeng said impatiently, "Cut the crap. Did you capture Aslan?" Sunbai, who was beside Hei's, laughed coldly and said, "You're with Aslan? Umph. Then don't blame me for being impolite. Hey Zay, capture him." Xian Feng turned his head and spoke, "Capture them." The two of them spoke almost at the same time, even saying the same thing. Hearing this, Heizei pounced forward without hesitation. Mad Eagle sneered, "You're courting death." He also pounced forward. Boom! This time, Mad Eagle didn't hold back at all. He used almost 80% of his strength. Just one move, and Heizei was almost dead. Suanbai's pupils shrank to the size of a needle. The moment Mad Eagle released his aura, he understood. He said in shock, "Eighth ring." He cursed in his heart and turned to run. He didn't dare to fight Mad Eagle. He knew how big the difference between an 8th ring and a 6th ring was. Before Sunbai could run 2 steps, Tiger Love suddenly appeared in front of him and shouted, "Running? Stay." Boom! He kicked him down, then grabbed his neck and flung him away, causing him to fly out. Sunbai and Heizei crashed into each other. In an instant, their defenses were shattered. The collision made them dizzy. After a while, they came to. Lei Xingfeng said calmly, "I want Aslan." Mad Eagle said, "Don't King play dead. If you don't want us to kill you, you better listen to us." He threatened. Heizei was terrified. Both of them were defeated in one move. He also heard Sunbai say 8th ring, so he reacted. He was actually an 8th ring expert. He was nothing. He said, "Aslan ran away a long time ago. We didn't catch him." Suanbai's eyes flashed. He stared at Lei Xingfeng. After a while, he said, "You are." Lei Xingfeng didn't hide it. He said, "Lei Xingfeng, true treasure Luan Yin master." Suanbai's eyes flashed. He said, "Who is Thunderstorm to you?" Lei Xingfeng's heart pounded. He said, "Thunderstorm. You know him? Where is he?" Before Sunbai could speak, a figure landed. Lei Xingfeng looked up and couldn't help but laugh. He said, "Dayton. Haha, Uncle Ing, catch him." Dayton came out to be a peacemaker and stall for time. He didn't expect to hear someone say they wanted to catch him. He couldn't help but be angry. "Who dares to catch me?" Mad Eagle rushed up and scolded. "CKU, who do you think you are?" Punk. Dayton was beaten to the ground. At this time, he realized that Heizei and Sunbai had lost their ability to fight back. Heizei scolded, "Dayton, you idiot." Lei Xingfeng started to feel uneasy. Dayton was a 6th ring sage, but he had a backer. He had seen Dano before. That guy was a 9th ring sage. Even with Mad Eagle and Tiger Love, they weren't his match. Mad Eagle walked up and tied the 3 up. He said, "What should we do?" Lei Xingfeng came to Dayton's side. He said, "Do you still recognize me?" Dayton looked carefully. Suddenly, he reacted. He said in shock, "You're Thunderstorm's grandson." How is this possible?" 5th ring sage. With his strength and insight, he could obviously see Lei Xingfeng's strength. One must know that when they were at Stellanite Fortress, Lei Xingfeng was only a mill-wheel master. In such a short time, this guy had 5 ring sage. From what he knew, this was completely impossible. Lei Xingfeng said, "Where is my Yi?" Dayton was suddenly terrified. He said, "If I say, I don't know where he is, would you believe me?" Back then, he was caught by Thunderstorm and suffered a lot. But he escaped in the end. Lei Xingfeng shook his head. "Of course not. You've already come to Aslan. How can I believe you?" Dayton's heart was filled with hatred. He didn't hate Xian Feng, but he hated Heizei and Sunbai. Since the opponent was so strong, they should have sent out a signal. But in the end, there was no signal, and he had to barge in. Wasn't this a scam? Hei shouted, "I'm just helping a friend. And we didn't catch Aslan." You can't." He couldn't say what he couldn't say. He had killed many of Aslan's friends and disciples. His hatred for Aslan was very deep. Lei Xingfeng laughed coldly. He said, "Who did you catch from Aslan?" Hei said, "We didn't catch anyone." A spear suddenly appeared in Lei Xingfeng's hand. He stabbed it into Hei's thigh. He laughed coldly. "I'm young, so I have a short temper. If there's anything I can't control, please forgive me." Hei's was so scared that he started to tremble. Generally speaking, the higher one's cultivation, the more afraid they were of death. This rule was correct, except for few exceptions. Dayton and Sunbai were even more scared, especially Dayton. He didn't know if Thunderstorm had mentioned him. If he hadn't, then he might be able to get away with it. But if he had, then this was even scarier than if he had fallen into Thunderstorm's hands. He knew that Lei Xingfeng wasn't even 20 years old. In this world, 20 years old wasn't considered an adult. He was still considered a child. Children were the scariest because they didn't know what was important or not. They were fearless and dared to do anything. He shouted. He watched as the spear pierced his thigh. He couldn't defend himself because his Enli had been completely sealed by Mad Eagle. Lei Xingfeng stabbed his spear again. Dayton screamed. Had already closed his eyes and was prepared to endure the attack. He didn't expect the spear to hit Dayton. He turned his head and saw the spear piercing into Dayton's shoulder. The practitioners in the distance were so scared that they were going crazy. They all stared with their mouths agape. Whether it was Dayton, or Sunbai, they were all top figures in the underworld. They didn't expect to be beaten up like dogs. Some people had already started to retreat. Poor Dayton didn't know what to say. He just kept screaming. Even if he was a sixth ring sage, he couldn't use his Enli. When the spear pierced into his body, he would feel the same pain as a normal person. Lei Xingfeng said calmly, "Where is my Yi? Where is Aslan?" He didn't dare to talk about his sister. He was afraid that someone would hear about it and find his sister before him. If that happened, he would be in a passive position. He had to be careful. Chapter 149. Dayton really didn't know. He howled, "I don't know." Ah. Lei Xingfeng stabbed his thigh again without hesitation and said, "You still don't know? Then let's do it again." Of course, Xian Feng knew who Dayton was. It was because of him that his grandpa ended up in such a sorry state, causing him to separate from his grandpa. How could Xian Feng let him go? After a few stabs, Lei Xingfeng changed his target. He stabbed Sunbai's thigh and said, "You're an accomplice too, aren't you?" Sunbai couldn't take it anymore and scolded, "Brat, even if you kill me, do you think you can escape?" Lei Xingfeng nodded and said, "It doesn't matter if I can escape in the future, but one thing is very clear. You can't escape now." If Sunbai didn't speak, Lei Xingfeng might have been able to suppress his anger. But this guy dared to threaten him. He couldn't let him go. He stabbed him with the long spear in his hand. Of course, every time he stabbed a bone, he would pull out the long spear. This made him cry out in pain. This level of attack was not enough to take Sunbai's life. However, no one would be able to withstand the continuous stabbing of a spear. This was not a skewer of barbecued meat, but a live meat skewer. Sunbai was still cursing at first, but in the end, he had no choice but to remain silent. Then, he could not take it anymore and began to scream until he began to beg for mercy. Lei Xingfeng asked, "At Aslan's place, who did you capture?" There was no other way. Xian Feng was using this method of absolute threat to get a confession. Dayton, and Sunbai begged for mercy in front of everyone. Dayton said, "You're ruthless." I'll talk. Lei Xingfeng's spear pierced Dayton's palm. He said, "Talk." He felt that this guy was too slow. Dayton wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He said, "When we went there, Aslan had already escaped. Those who were killed came after. I don't know where Aslan went." Lei Xingfeng didn't believe it at all. He said, "You killed so many people. I don't believe that you didn't catch a few of them." Tong said, Those were killed by us to vent our anger. Even if we captured them, we wouldn't get any information. It's not that they didn't want to tell us, but they didn't know at all. So, we didn't capture any of them." Lei Xingfeng asked, "Are there no clues at all?" As he spoke, he pointed his spear at the three of them, scaring them so much that they kept dodging. However, the three of them were tied up, so where could they hide? Tong howled, "I really don't know. Please, don't stab me anymore." He realized that this little brat was much more despicable than his grandpa. His face always had a despicable smile, but his eyes were filled with an extremely cold glint. How would he know that Xian Feng's heart was filled with extreme disappointment, bringing with it his violent emotions? Lei Xingfeng hit Yi Dayton with his spear. He said, "What are you shouting for? Last time, you tried to kill me, Yi. I haven't settled the score with you yet. All right, where is Yi?" Yi Dayton really wanted to cry. How could he know where Thunderstorm was? If he knew, he would have informed Si Danos to chase after him. Lei Xingfeng said, "Tell me, tell me." Yi Dayton's voice changed. He shouted, "I really don't Asterisk King know. If I knew, I would have brought people to kill them." In his panic, he even said what was on his mind. After saying it, he knew that it wasn't good. His body moved to the side like a maggot. Mad Eagle said curiously, "I didn't expect them to be a Fang's enemies." Tiger Love nodded. "Looks like that's right." "Oh right, a Feng. Your grandfather is also a cultivator?" Lei Xingfeng nodded. "Like you guys." "Yes, he's an 8th ring master. I don't know how many rings he has now. Maybe he's already a 9th ring master." He had always been superstitious about his grandfather's strength, especially when his grandfather invented how to cultivate quickly in a thunderstorm. With his strength, he really didn't know how far he could advance. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were shocked. They didn't expect Lei Xingfeng's grandfather to be a master. After thinking about it, they understood. Otherwise, it wouldn't explain why Lei Xingfeng had so much potential and his cultivation speed was so fast. This was the effect of being a master. Lei Xingfeng said, "They also have a master who's a 9th ring master. His name is Si Dano. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been separated from my grandfather." Speaking of this guy, Lei Xingfeng was furious. However, the difference in level was too big. He didn't dare to fight Si Dano. That was a battle he would definitely lose. Mad Eagle's expression became serious. He was more knowledgeable than Lei Xingfeng. Of course, he knew what a 9th ring master meant. It could be said that on this continent, 8th and 9th ring masters were the top masters. Moreover, those who could reach 8th and 9th ring masters weren't usually people on this continent who could reach 8th and 9th ring masters on their own. They all relied on other forces to reach this level. Only this Si Dano had a powerful master behind him. Just like Lei Xingfeng, he didn't rely on his own strength to reach 9th ring master. On this continent, once you had amazing potential, you would definitely be taken away by someone powerful. Unless you never appeared and stayed in a small place in the countryside. Mad Eagle said, "Si Dano. Where is he from?" Lei Xingfeng said, "I don't know. You'll have to ask this guy." As he spoke, Lei Xingfeng used his spear to stab Yi Dayton. Yi Dayton was already dizzy. There were so many holes in his body, and he had lost a lot of blood. He started to shiver and stare blankly. He muttered to himself, I don't know anything." Mad Eagle grabbed him and said, "Where's that Si Dano?" Yi Dayton said, I don't know." Mad Eagle couldn't help but smile bitterly. This guy didn't know anything. He said, "A Feng, I don't think I can get anything out of him." "And what do you plan to do?" Lei Xingfeng also didn't know what to do. He couldn't be sure of his little sister's safety. He couldn't help but blame Aslan. This guy took Lei Xingyao away and made him unable to find her. He finally found where she lived, but then this happened. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Uncle Tiger, what should I do?" At this time, Lei Xingfeng also couldn't think of a good idea. He could only ask for 2 bodyguards. They were 8th ring masters, at least experienced and knowledgeable. They should be able to give him some advice. Mad Eagle gave a simple answer. He said, "Try your best to avoid meeting with Si Dano. Kill 3 people and immediately go back to ask for help." Tiger Love said, "With mine old eagle strength, although we can't beat Si Dano, protecting you isn't a big problem. But I'm afraid of accidents, so I agree to go back first." When Mad Eagle said that he wanted to kill 3 people, Hazy, Yi Dayton, and Suanbai's faces all turned pale. To be able to get to their current position and strength, they were even more afraid of death than normal people. It must be known that they were usually high and mighty overlords. They could do whatever they wanted. Their days were extremely comfortable. If they died now, how could they be satisfied? "You can't kill me." Yi Dayton shouted in despair. "Let me go." Hazy, the famous Tilong Island master, begged. "If you kill me, our Sun family will definitely not let you go." Sunbai threatened. Lei Xingfeng couldn't help but laugh. There were indeed threats, begging, and cries of despair. He said, "Let you go, and wait for you to come and kill me? And you guys are too big of a threat. I can't hold back." From the start, Lei Xingfeng didn't intend to let the three of them go. But he also didn't intend to kill them immediately. There were some situations that he had to understand, and he could feel that the other party was trying to hide something. He had to dig it out. Lei Xingfeng said, "Hey Z, you're the island master of Tilong Island. I believe you're very familiar with Aslan. Why did you capture her? Tell me." Hey Z's gaze secretly swept past Sunbai. This small action was immediately caught by Lei Xingfeng. He immediately understood that this matter must have something to do with Sunbai. This guy was very cunning. He had been hiding at the side, trying his best to avoid Lei Xingfeng's attention. So much so that Lei Xingfeng really ignored him. Xi and Feng suddenly laughed, scaring the three of them to the point that their hearts jumped. "Sunbai, I'm very curious. Who are you?" Sunbai had a dead man's face. It was stiff and expressionless, but there was a trace of fear in his eyes. He said, "I'm not someone you can offend." Lei Xingfeng fiercely pierced his thigh with his spear and said, "I've offended you, so what?" Sunbai was so angry that his dead man face revealed a furious expression. Lei Xingfeng pierced his spear again and said, "Don't play dead." Sunbai felt like a tiger that had fallen from the sky. A true master with 5 true ring bodies actually dared to deal with him like this. He was so angry that his hair stood on end. But he had no way to get out of his current predicament. He gritted his teeth and said, I'm looking for Aslan for a little girl. Are you satisfied now? Damn it, don't make me." He suddenly swallowed his last sentence. He had already realized that if he said those words now, other than suffering more, there would be no other consequences. Lei Xingfeng was secretly shocked. They weren't targeting Aslan, but Lei Xingyao. He could almost immediately determine who they were looking for. What was laughable was that he had wanted to hide the existence of his little sister. It turned out that his little sister had been targeted since long ago. "Little girl, so that's how it is. You want to find my little sister and force me, i.e., to come out?" Lei Xingfeng didn't hide his purpose of looking for his little sister anymore. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were both secretly shocked. Only now did they know Lei Xingfeng's purpose. Sunbai said, "That's right. We were looking for you, but we didn't have any news. Now that you've appeared, you'll be hunted down." Lei Xingfeng had already determined that the other party didn't succeed. He said, "When did Aslan leave? Don't tell me you don't know." Sunbai coldly laughed and said, "She escaped quickly, but she won't be able to escape. She doesn't know how strong we are." Lei Xingfeng forcefully stabbed his spear and said hatefully, "How much hatred do you have for you to keep chasing after her?" Chapter 150. Sunbai let out a muffled groan. This spear directly pierced through his shoulder, breaking his collarbone, causing one of his arms to be completely crippled. He coldly said, "You are ruthless. If you kill me, you will have a death feud with our Sun clan. Even if you escape to the ends of the earth, you will still be hunted down and killed." Exine Feng wasn't afraid of his threats. If he didn't have a master, perhaps he would feel uneasy, but even if he didn't, he still wouldn't let Sunbai go. At this point, he couldn't let go. This was a burden brought by Grandpa's enemy. It wasn't something he could avoid. Putting away the spear, Lei Xingfeng knew he could not get any more information. He said, "Uncle Ing, I'll leave it to you." Mad Eagle smiled and said, "Okay, I'll take care of it." Suddenly, the three of them shouted. They knew they could not escape. Lei Xingfeng said, "Uncle Tiger, take me to where He Eyes lives." Mad Eagle said, "You guys go first. I'll be right there." Tiger Love grabbed Lei Xingfeng and flew quickly. Mad Eagle sneered and said, "Everyone, I'm sorry. I'll send you on your way." Sunbai said, "You should have heard of the Hidden Sect. I'm from the Hidden Sect. You can't kill me." Mad Eagle smiled and said, "Who told you to provoke my little master?" "Sorry, I'm also from the Hidden Sect." Sunbai said, "My master is a monarch. If you kill me, he'll know." Mad Eagle frowned slightly. He suddenly laughed and said, "Interesting. What a pity. Who told you to chase after my little master? Even if there's a monarch, my family also has one. I believe that between monarchs, there will be negotiations. But you won't be able to wait until that day. Besides, would a monarch care about the conflicts between us? You're not a monarch's disciple. You should be like me. Well, maybe even worse. Sunbai was struck speechless. He was truly in despair. Feng was right. He was a monarch's disciple, and his status wasn't even as high as Feng Ying's. He was just a small errand boy. A lot of his words were just to scare people. Mad Eagle smiled and said, "Goodbye, everyone." Dayton was extremely regretful. He regretted getting involved in such a terrifying battle. Before he could beg for mercy, he was killed by Mad Eagle. Feng Ying killed 3 people in a row. He looked around and found that the cultivators around him had all run away. Only then did he fly up, and a ball of fire fell, burning the 3 people to ashes in an instant. Lei Xingfeng and Tiger Love rushed into the residence of the Lord of Tilong Island. There was no one inside. Even the servants had run away. The house was empty. The floor was a mess, as if it had been robbed. Lei Xingfeng sighed. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. He looked around, but didn't find anything. Mad Eagle landed from the sky and said, "It's done. A phone. I think we should go back and tell the master about this." Lei Xingfeng nodded, and let's go back. At this time, there was no hope of finding Lei Xingyao, but he knew that Si Dineo was investigating his grandfather and sister. Mad Eagle looked at Lei Xingfeng's listless face and said, "Don't worry, a phone. Let's go back first and think of a way." Tiger Love also persuaded, "Yes, there's no point in being anxious. Aslan probably took your sister to hide. It'll be hard to find them quickly. Let's go back first." Lei Xingfeng said, "Killing 3 people should have cut off their clues to find my sister. But we don't know who's in charge of this. I was too anxious. I should have controlled the people on the island. I think the people who know about this have all escaped." Mad Eagle said, "We didn't think that they were targeting your sister. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in such a passive situation." Tiger Love said, "We can't stay here for long. Let's leave as soon as possible." Knowing that there was someone like Si Dineo, and that he was from the hidden sect, both Tiger Love and Mad Eagle became cautious. They wouldn't care about a normal sect, even a large one. But the hidden sect was different. Any hidden sect had many experts. Of course, by the standards of this continent, 7th, 8th, and 9th ring experts were the top in the sects of this continent. But in the hidden sect, such experts weren't rare at all. The 2 of them were experts. Naturally, they wouldn't make mistakes in this area. They urged Lei Xingfeng to leave. Lei Xingfeng looked around but couldn't find any clues. He said, "Okay, let's leave. F***CK. He couldn't help but curse. He was definitely unhappy. Mad Eagle squatted down and said, "I'll carry you." Lei Xingfeng didn't refuse. He laid on Mad Eagle's back and said, "Okay, let's go home. I'll talk to Master." The 3 of them just rose into the air. Before they even left Tilong Island's range, a figure suddenly appeared in the air. He shouted, "Stop!" Lei Xingfeng looked over. He had never seen this person before. It was a slightly fat, middle-aged man with a kind face. He blocked their way. Mad Eagle said softly, "Be careful. This guy is definitely 8th ring true body. Tiger, you're in front." He was carrying Lei Xingfeng. Once the battle started, it wouldn't be convenient. That person got closer and said, "Sun Buru, Heart In Master, 8th ring true body master." Tiger Love said, "Sun Buru, why are you blocking our way?" Sun Buru laughed coldly and said, "Where's Sunbai?" Lei Xingfeng understood. This person should be related to Sunbai. Tiger Love said indifferently, "Sorry, we killed him." Sun Buru's eyes flashed with killing intent. He said, "Give me a reason? Why did you kill him?" Lei Xingfeng said, "Put me down first." Mad Eagle and Tiger Love glanced at each other. Tiger Love said, "Let's go down." Sun Buru didn't object. He jumped down first. Tiger Love and Mad Eagle landed back on Tilong Island. Lei Xingfeng came down from Mad Eagle's back and whispered to Mad Eagle, "You two work together and kill him." Sun Buru stabilized himself and said, "Can we talk now?" In fact, he was also very afraid. His opponents were two 8th ring sages, and he didn't want to fight unless it was absolutely necessary. Of course, he had to know the reason why they killed Sun Bai. At the very least, he had to know if Sun Bai had accidentally angered the two 8th ring sages and was killed. If that wasn't the case, then the problem was very serious. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love glanced at each other again. Their lips curled up as they pounced at Sun Buru at the same time. Sun Buru was shocked. In that instant, he understood many things. Their opponents were here for them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have attacked without saying anything. Even a 9th ring Doa would have to dodge the attacks of two 8th ring Doluan masters. So Sun Buru wasn't stupid enough to take them head on. His body seemed to be pulled by an invisible chain, and he suddenly retreated. His speed was so fast that Foaming and Shuhu's attacks missed. Boom! The attacks landed on the ground. Instantly, a huge cloud of dust rose up. The two's attack destroyed a third of the buildings on the island. Flames erupted up to 100 meters high. Lei Xingfeng cursed. His body flickered. His speed was also fast. He instantly flashed to the shore and jumped into the lake without hesitation. Even though he was a 5th ring true master, he didn't dare to be affected by the battle between 8th ring true masters. Sun Buru cursed. He didn't dare to fight with two 8th ring true masters. Without hesitation, he flew away. Tiger Love was prepared. He instantly blocked Sun Buru's path. The two exchanged a blow. Mad Eagle attacked Sun Buru from behind. Sun Buru was so angry that he screamed and fled to the side. The three of them fought on Tilong Island. In just a few minutes, the entire island was destroyed. Lei Xingfeng had already swam a few hundred meters away. He could see many small boats rowing towards the distance. They were all cultivators. They weren't stupid and knew that staying in the battle would bring them bad luck. They all ran away faster than rabbits. Lei Xingfeng suddenly jumped onto a small boat. Swimming in the water wasn't as comfortable as sitting on a boat. There were 4 cultivators on the boat. They were all low-level cultivators. The strongest was only a mill-wheel master. Seeing Lei Xingfeng get on the boat, the 4 of them were all from Tilong Island. They had seen Lei Xingfeng before and knew that he was a true master. The 4 of them had a tacit understanding. Seeing Lei Xingfeng get on the boat, the 4 of them jumped into the water at the same time. Lei Xingfeng didn't want to chase them away. Seeing them jump into the water, he couldn't help but shake his head. He was too lazy to say anything and went to the back of the boat. He took out a steel paddle and rowed away. Sun Buru roared like thunder. He dodged left and right in an attempt to escape. Actually, Mad Eagle and Tiger Love were also having headaches. They felt helpless against an 8th ring cultivator who wanted to escape. One must know that their strength was similar. Even if Mad Eagle and Tiger Love teamed up, Sun Buru didn't want to fight head-on. They couldn't do anything unless the opponent fought head-on. But Sun Buru wasn't that stupid. He didn't want to fight head-on. He would dodge if he could and escape if he could. The 3 of them circled back and forth above the island, occasionally attacking. Sun Buru circled around for a full 10 minutes before he finally found an opportunity to escape the battlefield. He didn't even leave behind a single word as he continued to escape. Mad Eagle and Tiger Love couldn't stop him. They smiled bitterly and came back to find Lei Xingfeng. Lei Xingfeng saw Mad Eagle and Tiger Love land on the boat. He said, "That guy ran away." The battle was too intense. The entire island was covered in smoke. He couldn't see the 3 of them clearly. However, he guessed that the 2 didn't succeed. If an 8th ring sage wants to escape, even a 9th ring sage might not be able to stop him, Feng said. This guy got away. He's very smart. From the moment we started attacking, he was already planning to escape. With just the 2 of us, we can't catch him or even injure him. Unless we can restrict his movements, there's nothing we can do. Xi and Feng also knew that with an 8th ring body, one's strength had reached a level where they could move freely. According to his estimations, only a higher level practitioner, such as a true monarch, would be able to forcefully suppress them. People of the same level were simply unthinkable. Mad Eagle said, We should leave as soon as possible. This guy must have strong backup. If a ninth ring cultivator comes, the two of us won't have a problem. But it's not good for you. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.